Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new live stream. Make sure you guys like that stream down below. Let's hit 100 so the face cam can come on, and make sure you guys subscribe if you're new. And everybody's mad that I'm 3 minutes late, but look, it's an Arizona primary stream. I could be an hour late. You guys probably wouldn't be missing anything just because of the way it goes. So everybody can chill, relax. We're ready to go. We're ready to watch some primary results, get to some super chats. A lot of people will be talking about the 2024 presidential race as well, I guarantee it, throughout the night, just because of what's going on. We got a lot of new updates. Kamala Harris, she finally filled a crowd up, except she was at a rap concert that was basically free. How many times did we see that with Hillary Clinton? Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, they'll be going to the same arena this Saturday. Trump is going to absolutely attempt to mog Kamala Harris in Atlanta. Already, it's kind of in a way the crowd size thing. Democrats, we hear crowd sizes don't matter, and then the second that Kamala Harris gets a big crowd, oh, it's over for Trump. And it's like, if it's just Kamala, she gets like 60 people in Philadelphia. You have to be there with a rapper that's basically performing. And then when Kamala starts talking, everybody leaves. They leave. They don't want to hear what she has to say. They're off put. Even a lot of the people in the audience that were holding the signs were leaving just instantly. It's not like they were there for like an hour. You know, they didn't care about Kamala is the main point. They were there for, the rapper, Megan the Stallion, whatever they want to call her, whatever name that they have. I'm sure that there's going to be other concerts. They're probably going to do one like once a week. It doesn't really mean much. I mean, a lot of those people there probably are not there to support Kamala Harris, and many won't even vote for her, plain and simple. She's got a really big enthusiasm problem in the real world, but you do have an enthusiasm surge among some groups, and that is arguably causing a response bias in polling. And we see these wacky polls. Oh, Trump's going to lose Michigan by 11 to Kamala, but the same poll had him losing by 5 to Biden. It's just not a very good poll, plain and simple. Another poll has him down in Pennsylvania by four. The same poll had Biden beating Trump by 8, 5-6 months ago. And then a few months later, they showed it being a Biden plus 5. So Trump's actually gaining in these polls that are not really all that accurate historically. And we're kind of seeing that unfold. So we'll get to the results. We'll talk. We'll do super chats as they go as well, because we're going to get a lot of them before the results probably end up coming in. So Tommy Leo 1 says, late Eagle politics. Well, I wasn't that late, but your super chat was early, so congratulations. Olivia Williams says, shouldn't Lake drop her governor's lawsuit now? Well, I don't think these lawsuits are going anywhere. Look, I think there was a lot of shenanigans going on in 2022, not necessarily with like fake ballots, but just how they handled the election in Maricopa County was an utter disgrace. It was just an absolute embarrassment for the state of Arizona, for the country. But I don't know what these lawsuits are going to do. Does she believe she's going to get back in the governor's mansion? I don't even know if they have a governor's mansion, but I like Kerry. I just don't know what the end goal is, because it doesn't really seem like these lawsuits have gone anywhere. And if the system is rigged, as it is, against Trump, against her, against a lot of people, against the establishment, I don't know what these lawsuits are going to do. Even the Hamadeh, who arguably had like the biggest case because it was blatant. Even the neocons will say they took that one. But again, they didn't really honor those cases. And it's sad that they didn't take them into consideration, but I don't know where they're going to go. So either way, I assume Lake is going to win the nomination. So again, I don't know where it's going to go. I think that we got to focus on getting Trump elected and getting Republicans elected up and down the ballot, regardless of whoever even wins the primaries here. Let's see. Hamster Eater 96 says Lake would be much more electable and appealing to voters if she got rid of the haircut. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, that's questionable. Some people say that, and then other people say, well, it's like more professional. So I don't know. She's presentable either way. But we have yet to get any results, and I'm not really surprised that we have no results yet. So yeah, Arizona. We could have delayed the stream another 10 minutes. We wouldn't have even missed anything. Olivia Williams says, why did Trump co-endorse after only endorsing Abe? Probably because Masters is probably going to win the primary, and Trump is going to want to take some credit, and Vance already endorsed Masters, so that's probably why, if I had to be honest. So, Trump, I heard from behind the scenes that he was upset about the fundraising because Abe was not really doing a very good job with fundraising. David Mendez TV says a Josh Shapiro VP is going to be a tough one. Well, like I said, a lot of the people that we hear, oh, we don't want to face this guy, or we need to nominate this guy, they flame out. And Josh Shapiro is popular in Pennsylvania, but he's never been attacked. And it's not like there's no subject matter to attack him on. He's putting Amish farmers in prison. I mean, for very, very indiscriminate things. He's not somebody who's very good on paper. He very well could flame out. And if Kamala puts him on the ticket, I'm not going to change my prediction. I don't think he will end up moving the needle at the end of the day. They'll try to make him out to be like this, white Obama type of figure. But again, that's not necessarily going to last for a very long time. As much negative media coverage as J.D. Vance has gotten, his favorables are in the 40s. His unfavorables are also in the 40s. So it's not like it's really changing a lot of minds. Let's see. Olivia Williams says, are you worried Dem Senate candidates are at 50 in the polls? Well, Senate polls are a little bit different. If the presidency top line, you have Harris at 50 in reputable polls, not whatever poll we saw today, it's a little bit of a notice for concern. But if we're going to see, a Senate race where it's like Dem 50, Republican 45, but Trump's up in the state, I wouldn't be too worried about it because so many people will go for the familiarity when they're being polled. And then when they show up to the voting booth, they'll just check the Republican box and vote for the Republican in the race. And you kind of see the same thing with the Senate races in 2022, like Pennsylvania, Dr. Oz underperforming the polls partially because Shapiro outperformed even the already lofty expectations. Olivia Williams says, you sound really tired. Rep, are you okay? Get pumped. I'm fine. I am not trying to sound tired. There's just not like a big monologue to do in this stream. Punch a Bunch Bear says Arizona sadly will be decided by mail-in ballots and suburban Peahat shrews both in Maricopa. Well, mail-in ballots in this election are going Republican, let me just say that, which there are question marks for Kari Lake. Does that, mean that she's going to underperform expectations? But I do think it's a good thing that Republicans are using the early vote system. Now, Democrats, they've thrown everything at Trump. It's barely been enough to the point where it's like, now are we really in this situation where we're going to go out there and get trounced like some people think because Kamala Harris is the nominee, which if you told people that a year ago, it probably would be very differently viewed. They'd think it's like crazy dooming. Now I feel like that's a normal opinion, but I don't think everyone's dooming. I think most people aren't, but you have a loud minority that likes to doom because I don't know if it makes them just feel better about themselves. It's possible that that's why. Tommy Leah 1 says, who would you choose as the nominee and what do you think the margins will be at the end of the day? Well, I think Lake's going to win. I don't think she's going to win by a landslide. I hope she does, honestly, because it would show that her support's bigger than it's ever really been, and it would kind of put to rest a lot of the online stuff, and maybe it would improve her view of like her getting across the finish line, might get her more fundraising. I think it's probably going to be like 57-41 or something like that, or some more give or take. I think she wins by like 15-16, just because there is a big anti-Kari part of the right. We saw them in 2022, but they were more underfunded this cycle. So it's really, really intriguing to see how it's going to shape up. If the Noble Predictive Insights poll is as inaccurate as it was in 2022, Lake would actually fall short of Lamb. I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't. So let's see. David Mendez TV says, we just don't have enough time to attack Shapiro. I disagree. The left's attacked Vance. I don't think their attacks are really going to stick. But again, you have all these people that'll just say, oh, we're going to be, it doesn't matter the VP. First of all, the VP rarely can dictate an election. I mean, it is a close election. It's true. It's still going to be close. But voters in, rural Pennsylvania are not going to vote for Kamala if they voted for Trump twice because the VP is Josh Shapiro. I mean, plain and simple. Especially because Shapiro is not being attacked. I mean, you look at the guy, see the guy speak, and I'm like, this guy's maybe he's like a likable governor. Doesn't mean it translates well. He said today that Trump was weird because he hugs the flag. That's one of the more iconic things that Trump has done is hug the flag at CPAC one of those years, and then he's just trashing it. And he's a good orator, but I mean, again, the guy's like, 5'6"? And I know Kamala Harris is technically shorter. The average height of that ticket would be like 5'4.5". I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go, but I think it could be Andy Bashir, who's a big fraud. It could be Tim Walz. It could be Mark Kelly, who's very impressive on paper. But I will say that Mark Kelly in action is very bland. He's overrated. There's a reason why every time he starts the election, he's polling 10 points up, and then by the time the election rolls around, he wins by 2 to 4 against very weak candidates. I like Blake. I wish him the best of luck tonight. I don't hate Hamadeh either, for the record. I just think that Blake's probably more proven on these issues like immigration overall. But we'll see. We'll see who wins. But no results yet. Polls have closed. We're waiting. Arizona is being Arizona yet again. Not a good sign for the record. Not a good sign, but we'll see. Not for the primary results, but for the general. We want to get the results in a timely fashion. We don't want to wait an hour before we see 1%. Let's see. Okay, we have more super chats. Mike Griffin for 10 says, hey, do you find it odd that Republicans don't use the trans and women's bathrooms or sports enough to woo suburban women? I feel like they haven't weaponized that enough. Well, they've been using it a lot more. Trump never talked about it before. Now he's saying we'll get men out of women's sports, which again kind of begs the question for some people that claim Trump is moving left on his messaging. If anything, I disagree, because he never touched that stuff his entire time, either in 2016 or 2020, but he's touching it now. Partially because it's more of a hot button issue, but it's also a common sense winning issue. Trevor Hint says, what scenario would it take for DC to get anywhere near a 40-point margin? Republicans would have to start winning the black vote, and that's not happening anytime soon. Just saying. Thomas Willingham says, Trump not going to dump Vance right. No, that's fake. Look, the people that want Trump to dump Vance are Chuck Schumer and a Hillary Clinton strategist. Nobody wants Trump to actually dump Vance in the real world. It's all Twitter stuff. They're mad because, that he's being attacked for an old comment. They've never done that to any Republican VP candidate before. Oh, wait, they've done it to all of them, except maybe Paul Ryan, because he was just too much of a dope. But people are acting like the cat lady thing is like the 47% comment from Mitt Romney, or like the Access Hollywood for Trump. These people don't really live in reality. Vance explained himself, and what he said, I feel like, made a lot of sense. And honestly, they just called him weird, and now it's backfiring because of the meme factor. Everybody's posting all the crazy things the left is doing, and they're saying, oh, really, but J.D. Vance is the weird one. And it's taking off. So anyways, guys, make sure you like the stream, and make sure you guys subscribe. We're going to hit 190K on stream tonight. I guarantee it. So make sure you guys like the stream and subscribe. We got 2,300 people here in chat. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button as well. We got some Arizona results on the way eventually. Probably about 5 years from now, we'll get them. But we're waiting. We are waiting. Let's see. Okay. Jonathan Manson says, I voted for Lamb today, but it's a lost cause. GOP has to stop recycling candidates like McSally, Andy Biggs, or Debbie Lesko might have been choices. Well, Biggs, I think, was thinking about running, but he's not a good fundraiser when he tries to consider going statewide, from what I've heard. I like Biggs a lot. Lesko, she retired. I don't know if she wants to do politics anymore. But you know what? It's your vote. It's your vote. Lamb I think he's a nice guy. Carrie Lake wanted him to run for Senate, but at the end of the day, Lake ran. She's got the endorsement of Trump. She's got the endorsement of these, Senate, high-profile Senate candidates. They've already poured a lot of money into her. It'd be a lost cause if you remove her. And, it is true. Lamb is somebody that's more of an unknown. But again, people are saying, well, we'd win this easy if he's the nominee. I don't know if that's true, because he hasn't raised a lot of money, for one. And, obviously, if you look at even 2022, Lake had a lot of money spent against her. Lamb hasn't really had a lot of money poured in. And, again, he hasn't really been tested. He has very low name recognition. If he barely wins a primary tonight in an upset, I still would have Arizona going in the tilt or lean blue column. Just because, plain and simple. Gallego spent a lot of money propping himself up, rebranding his image, which is a lot easier to do if you're running for Senate than if you're running for president. Sorry, Kamala, but it's true. Jeremy G says, hey, Rep, would you want to defund sports referees or defund the teachers? Why not both? I don't think the government defunds sports refs, though, but they should be defunded. They're bad at their job. Mitchell Ryan says, did you see the report that came out that there would be another attempt on Trump? What would happen if they took him out? Well, they're giving him more security, but again, there's been people arrested, like countless people arrested that like might want to do some like copycat attack. So again, he's got to be sure to keep everything on watch. I know he wants to go back to Butler. I mean, he's a brave man. I'm sure they're going to, get that perimeter secure this time. But again, last time it should have been, and it wasn't. So you never know. It definitely is risky for sure. But who knows? Maybe the Kamala sugar high will give Democrats enough hope to the point where they lay off of that thing for a while, even though they're coping. Carl Peterson says, keep calm and carry on, Patriots. I see you got that Arizona flag, PFP. Manny says, thoughts on the Village's pro-Kamala fake rally. I mean, they had him for Biden in 2020, and the Village is still overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. So I'm not concerned or worried because there's some boomer Democrats. I mean, they exist, plain and simple. I mean, if there's like a Trump boat parade, there's like thousands of people. Let's see, Bender from Futurama for $6. I don't even know if I've ever gotten a $6 super chat before, but Lake is horrible. He says, didn't show up to a debate with Lamb that makes Phantom promises to get him to drop out. She'll lose bad to Guy. Well, she did debate him. I saw the debate. They debated on some like weird Zoom call thing, but she did debate him. Maybe he wanted another debate that she didn't want, but she did debate him on a Zoom type of thing for like some senior citizens forum, which is true. Priscilla's Vivo says, do you think Kamala's polls will go down as the election nears? Because I believe Trump will win big with Harris. Well, usually both candidates improve their numbers as we get closer. So if Trump is like at 48 now, he probably ends up getting around, he could end up getting 49, 50% of the popular vote. Kamala might get 47, 48% of the popular vote. RFK Jr. is increasingly becoming a non-factor, probably even more so now than somebody like a Gary Johnson would be. So either way, I think that Trump is in the better position here because he could lose the popular vote by 5 and still win because of how bad Kamala Harris will run at the end of the day among these like white working class voters in the Midwest that, Hillary struggled with. Biden did a little bit better with, but I think Kamala is probably going to end up doing worse than Hillary just because she just does not have that appeal. That's why they're actually, for the first time ever, doing white identity politics, even though it's not going to work because they're basically just going out there. They're like, white dudes for Harris, and it's like a bunch of soy boys, and they've got this Zoom call talking about how everyone who doesn't like Kamala is just experiencing, they're just racist or something, because that's totally the only reason why people hate her, right? He needs some milk for 5, says Cooper. Harris have been friends for years to know what's behind the scenes, but him withdrawing from the VP shortlist doesn't spell confidence in her. Yeah, I mean, that is kind of shocking to me because I thought he would be the pick. Personally, I think that Cooper's going to run for Senate in 26, so maybe he just thinks that that's a better venture for him. And I don't know. Obama, I think, didn't want Shapiro. I heard rumors from sources Obama does not want Shapiro because he thinks that putting somebody on the ticket who's like Jewish is going to repel the Gaza people. Like, this is what I've heard from sources. Unconfirmed, but if that is true and if that holds up, that's just like, wow, brutal. Like, these people have like, the intersectionality is just collapsing on itself as we predicted it would. But we'll see. I mean, either way, if they pass over Shapiro for Buttigieg for that very reason, I'm just going to laugh. Yeah, I wonder how the Muslims, if you think the Muslims, don't like that demographic, wait until they meet a gay guy. But either way, I don't think the VP is going to sway a lot of voters either way. But it is true. Shapiro, I think, for the Gaza people, not just because of his ethnicity/religion, but because he's been like very cracking down on the protests and stuff like that. They don't like him. They don't like Mark Kelly a whole lot either, but I think Obama's pushing for Kelly. But Kelly with the unions, that could be a big problem. But UAW is still going to endorse Harris because they're just broken. They don't care about the workers. The workers are going to revolt. Even the leader said that Trump is going to get a lot of votes from his people regardless. Agaranth1 says, running mates have no influence on polls. Voters vote for the top of the ticket. Exactly. Like, people are like, oh, Vance is causing the surge. It's like, no, he's not. I mean, Trump was surging against Kamala after he picked Vance. It's the switch of the VP, or not the VP, but it's the switch at the top of the ticket on the Democrat side that is causing the Democrat surge, which I think is largely fueled by response bias, because I can't think of anybody who was voting for Trump that's going to jump ship for Kamala. Like, there may be a couple people out there just because of the whole, like, cognitive decline, but a lot of those people voted for Biden in 2020 anyways, I'd feel like, and they don't represent a lot of the converts. It's mainly because of the of what's going on with the economy and immigration. Like, that's why people are voting for Trump. The cognitive decline thing I always thought was a little bit of a distraction. I was a little worried after the debate. I was like, okay, we got to focus on the issues, because even though this is a horrible look for Biden and we'll let him fight, like, at the end of the day, we got to focus on the issues, because that's what people are going to vote on. They voted Biden, and a lot of people knew he was in cognitive decline. I think that people that just hate Trump, but, I think that Biden's better on the issues, are just going to vote for Biden anyways. Like, he was always going to get 46, 47% of the vote anyways. It doesn't matter if he's up against a Stapler, Trump, DeSantis, whoever. He's still going to do well, because that's how polarized we are. It's true. So many people are like, oh, Trump's going to cost us the election because he's Trump. But it's like, no. Let's see. Dean Cream Between says, get stocked up on snacks for the stream on 11/5. Oh, that's a great day. 98, 97. Yeah, 98 days from tonight. That's going to be something. CCM28 says, hopefully Kamala keeps up the twerking for votes thing. No one remembers the suburban mom outrage for that Hannah Montana performance years ago. Yeah, I feel like there are two types of suburban. Everyone talks about suburban women. There are the more liberal suburban women, like, as Vance puts it, the childless cat ladies or whatever, that will no matter what vote for the Democrats. But there's also, like, the moms that care about safety and crime and immigration, and they do vote Republican. Like, Republicans they're not going to get as many suburban women as before, but their floor is a lot higher than people would think. Like, Trump can't bottom out with them and get like 20%. Like, he's going to still get like 40% of suburban women, 45%, and then like 55% of suburban men, which is just something people don't understand. Like, he won white working class men, or white college educated men. I mean, I would know. I'm one of them. Let's see. Andrew Mortensen says, oh, we did that one. Zachary Howard says the Michigan poll today was fake. It's just a really bad poll. It's like that poll that had Biden up 17 in Wisconsin in 2020. Andrew Mortensen says, Rep, if you choose any VP that Kamala would go with, who would it be? Personally, I pray it's Buttigieg. Well, like, who do I want? Like, yeah, Buttigieg would be funny. Beto O'Rourke would be like a dream come true, never happen. Gina Raimondo is like on the short list, and she's like, that's just like atrocious, like generic, random coastal elitist woman. Like, how's that going to get the ticket across the finish line? I mean, the gender divide would be even greater. But I don't know. It depends. I'm not afraid of any of them personally. Like, I'm not like, oh, this guy's going to carry Kamala. Like, the fact that they have to even think about that kind of shows how weak of a position she's in. I don't think she gets a VP bump. She might get a VP slump, because this could be the sugar high. She already fell in 2 polls that came out today from last week. And keep in mind, polls have always underestimated Trump. And keep in mind that she could lose the national vote by 5 and still lose the election. So there's a lot for people to take in and a lot for people to understand. But yeah. Peter Duca says, if Dems ditched identity politics and wokeness and returned to the 04 Dems, they would be extremely difficult to beat. I miss the anti-neocon / woke. Well, a lot of those people became Trump Republicans. That party's not coming back. I mean, Trump was a Democrat once for a reason. Andrew Mortensen says, I thought you'd like it like this. I had one friend that said he's voting for Harris. I called him a flat-out beta male. You can't be alpha and vote. Well, it's true. I mean, there's a reason why there's all the memes going on about the Zoom call, the white dudes for Harris. It's like, this is AstroTurf nonsense. Most white men in reality, especially even young white men that are like actually not like these Reddit types or, if they're straight, obviously, they're not going to be voting for Harris. There's no way. A lot of them weren't voting for Biden anyways. Cyrus Jalali says, Campbell Toe, Harris, and Willie Brown, 24. Well, I don't think Willie Brown's going to be the VP. Official Loser says, Jesus Christ of Nazareth is king. He will win in the end. Trust the plan. So true. Tech Geek says, you are concerned. You're correct. Arizona is blue in November 24. Trump must increase black vote. Without it, he loses. Even Minnesota, Virginia must. Well, no, that's just not true. Arizona is probably the most likely swing state to flip because of the border and because he's gaining Hispanics. The black vote's not movable. I tell people this. Black men, young black men, I think Trump can gain and will gain with them. They're not even they're 1% of the electorate at most, period. So you're gaining maybe 10% with 1%. Think about that. Most black voters are women, period. It's like a 2-to-1 ratio. If Trump won black men 90-10, he'd still lose the black vote 65-35. So this is something people need to take into consideration. Max Flares says, does Lake or Lamb disagree on any policies? I mean, honestly, they're it seems like they're similar. I guess they prioritize different stuff. I mean, that's the way it is. I'm just waiting for results. David Carlson, longtime listener and former co-host, actually, has sent in a super chat saying, Rep, in terms of Riz and the electoral consequences of what the Sigma, how do you feel about the no gooning movement succeeding in the tilted tower? I don't get the brain rot. I know it's brain rot stuff. Most people over the age of, 15 probably are not going to understand anything you just said. But anyways, thanks for the super chat. Thanks for stopping by. Rubik's Cube says, how likely is fortification in the swing states we love, Rep? By the way, I think in Georgia it's very unlikely. I think Harris will have to win on her merits after how they've overhauled everything. Arizona, I don't think it'll be enough. I think North Carolina, again, wasn't enough anyways in 2020, which is kind of debunks the whole, Trump can't win because they'll just have unlimited. No, it's not how it works. Pennsylvania, if it's iffy. Michigan, again, I still think in a fair count, Trump probably still fell short in Michigan, but there was a lot of stuff in Michigan that went wrong. Wisconsin, I think, is brutal. But again, they've kind of changed the laws a little bit. I'm not exactly worried about drop boxes themselves. It's more the nursing home stuff that we've seen that probably always happens. We just got to beat it. Everyone wants to talk about fortification. We got to beat it. It's just kind of pointless to say, because then some people will say, I don't want to vote because if it could be, they're just going to do it again. And that's the problem. They don't have to do it if you have that mindset because you're letting them do it. You don't have any more chances besides this fall. We got to get people out and voting, period. So hopefully people can, instead of dooming, they can actually start to, get their act together. Sam Madsen says, is Cooper favored for North Carolina Senate in the Trump midterm? I think it'd still be a toss-up. He might win it, though. He'd probably 55-45 favorite. It'd still be close because black turnout in midterms is usually not that good. So Austin Gammon says, do you think if Kamala wins, it's because she's black and the first woman of color to win the party? Well, she did, first of all, win the party's nomination. She didn't earn it. She was handed it. She was anointed by the media, by the establishment. These are talking points that I think Vance is using. I guess Trump is also using them too. I saw the Vance rally today on 2x speed in Reno. I thought he did a great job. He's coming into his own. That's why people they're not criticizing anything he said then because they don't have a reason to, because he's coming into his own. But as for the whole Kamala Harris thing, it's going to excite some people, but we already had a black president. People need to understand the first black something. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of attention. You're going to get a lot of coverage for that. And it's especially on the left. If you're running as a Republican, nobody cares. You're not special, according to them, because they write the rules. But if you're running to be the second black president, that's not going to have the same bite. It's not going to energize voters the same way, period. End of discussion. It's true, she's like a black woman. Okay, she'll do better with black women. I said it. I agree. She'll energize black women. She arguably I think she'll do worse among black men than Joe Biden did. It's going to be by a noticeable amount. I think Trump might get 21% or so of the black male vote. He already got 16% in 2020. They're just not a big part of the black electorate even. But he got 4% with black women. That's not gonna cut it. Mr. Jimmy says, thoughts on Kamala mocking Trump for not debating? Well, she can mock him. He's going to debate her. If you watch the Fox interview, he said he would. He's just trying to wait and see if she's the nominee, which is the same thing they did for the Vance stuff with her in the vice presidential debate. SJ says, I emailed RCP about the outlier poll. It says 70% of the nation says America's on the wrong track. Harris ahead by 1 nationally, but Michigan is Harris plus 11. Yeah, again, like I said, that you don't have to email them. They didn't do the poll. It's Bloomberg that did the poll. You can throw them in the aggregate because they're an accredited pollster, but they're a weak one. And if the New York Times comes out and has Harris by like 1 or 2 in Michigan, okay, that's more understandable, more believable. She still might be down, could be response bias, but again, it's incompatible with their Pennsylvania poll. They've been off for the past, few polling cycles in Bloomberg. Biden as the opponent or Harris as the opponent, doesn't matter. Let's see. SJ says, I emailed RCP about the outlier poll. Okay, we did that one. Sam Madsen says, did we lose any legislative chambers this year, or did we gain the Michigan and Pennsylvania state houses? I think that's probably in the cards. I don't know if we lose any, because 2022 was so bad for Republicans that I don't know for that. I don't know if they're able to like lose any in any swing states. I don't really think that Trump is going to underrun a lot of those candidates at the top of the ticket, at least. Hudson Dean says the Kamala glaze on TikTok is insane. Well, it's a good thing most Americans don't use TikTok. And again, that's how these things happen. Something will come up and then there will be a pushback. Kai Gnosis says white man. Okay. I see what you're doing. I actually agree with part of the sentiment, but we will fight. All men that agree with the agenda. Not the white men for Harris. That's ridiculous. But Ash K2 says, not gonna lie, that your weird ad is concerning and will give Harris a boost. Are you talking about the ad with all like the guys that are like creepy saying they're Republicans? Because that ad's fucking stupid. Like, I saw that. That's not gonna move the needle. Like, people need to chill out, okay? Like, they have these people that are like greasy and like they're obviously on the left, but they claim they're on the right. Oh, we're gonna come for your bedrooms and we're gonna try to, like, they did this in 2022. It didn't really work in at least everywhere. Some places it did, but the problem is that those Republicans were running on banning abortion, and Trump is just saying, leave it to the states. So again, they will hit with lies. People are dooming because they're lying. If they're lying, they're losing. That's kind of the thing. This election's coming down to an IQ test, and I think a lot of the American people are going to vote accordingly. I don't think that ad really matters. I mean, we're making ads defining Harris. We're all over the airwaves in Philadelphia. People are acting like we're not up on the air. People need to get off Twitter. Again, 23% of Americans are on Twitter, and a very slim portion of them actually use Twitter for politics. So again, you're talking about maybe like 2-3% of the American public that occasionally checks Twitter, and then everybody tries to make the election about what's popular on Twitter. If Twitter was popular, Dr. Oz would have been in the Senate because he was beloved by all wings of the right on Twitter leading up until Election Day. So again, Twitter's not real life, and people need to understand this. That ad is weird. That ad is weird. That ad is creepy, and that ad is lying. So again, just chill out. We don't have any results. Ice Cream Junkie says Harris is scheduled to hold a rally in Pennsylvania next Tuesday where she announces her running mate. Does that mean it's probably Shapiro? If that's people thought Trump would do a rally in Florida and announce Rubio as his running mate, and Rubio was there. It could be, but not necessarily. It could be a lot of different people. I don't think she's chosen. I don't think it's going to be Shapiro. If it is Shapiro, it's Shapiro. I'm not afraid of him. It could be Mark Kelly. It could be Andy Beshear. It could be a lot of people. It could be Pete Buttigieg. It could be Gary Peters. It could be so many different people. Austin Gammon for 5. Bobano 101 for 50 in Hong Kong dollars says, stop paying attention to the manipulated and coordinated propaganda polls for a month. They'll run out of steam, and by then the real numbers will start emerging. Yes, the first year we've never seen a summer response bias for the Democrats in history, yet the fact that, we might be seeing one, people are saying, well, it's coping if you point that out, but it's like, this is history. This is real stuff. I mean, if it's continued into September, into October, and Harris takes the lead, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a reason for concern. But until that day comes, I think a lot of people just need to take a step back and relax for once. Just instead of worrying about Trump, why don't you start campaigning for him or something. Why don't you stop complaining about stuff and actually help him win? Let's see. Zachary Howard says Trump was down by 4 to 6 points in 2016 and was down 8 points and won the 2016 election and narrowed the gap by 4 points in 2020. He looks good. It's true. Ann W. says, who was the most accurate pollster in 2016? Well, I can check. Nationally, there was IBD, TIPP tracking was off by 1, but the polls that had Clinton up by 3, there were several. Those are the most accurate. Bloomberg, which is just on crack right now because they teamed up with Morning Consult, they were accurate. ABC, Washington Post, they were accurate. Those two were the most accurate ones. You had a Clinton +2 from Marist, actually. Not NPR Marist, but McClatchy Marist that was released a little bit before the election, and that was the most accurate one. But Marist has become very far to the left now, was way off in 2022, I believe. I think it had Democrats up. I could be wrong. And they were off in 2020. Thukong94 says, how is Kamal Tos up so high in Michigan? We have to get out and vote. Can't sit this one out. Well, that poll is on crack, but I tend to agree that we gotta get motivated. This election isn't over. And with Biden, I mean, it still wouldn't have been over. I don't think Biden would have won, but I think he could have made things closer if he had a lot of things go right for him. If he became their nominee, the media would have probably been in the bag for him, and the damage would be done for sure. But hey. So we're waiting. We're almost an hour in, and we have 0 results. I told you guys. I could have gone live an hour later. Dave M says, dumb as a rock, sorry. Thank you for the 20. Security TV says, is it just me or every time Harris laughs, I picture the Wicked Witch flying around in a broom? Well, it's true. Now, Trump acknowledges she's kind of dialing back the laughter. They're trying to reinvent Harris. But being a flip-flopper doesn't help you win. Let's see. The Jada Kriegsman says, I feel like it's a sad statement on the women of America that so many of them viewed the important right as the ability to kill an unborn child. It's true. People forget, but it's true. Abortion is indeed the termination of a life. It is my body. It's not your body. Okay, it's a body inside of your body, but it's not your body. When you are doing it, you are terminating the body. The baby doesn't have a choice. The father, in many cases, doesn't have a choice. It's sad. But if you kill somebody that's pregnant, it's a double homicide. How does that work out? It doesn't work out too well. So again, I'm against abortion. I do think that we need to be smart about how we message, though. I think Trump is doing a good job. It's you know, a lot of people, I think they're just they're not viewing the situation the right way. These I guess you would say the more staunch, very slim portion of the pro-life people. Trump gets him the biggest win. They spit in his face because they say he's caving, but he never changed his position. This has always been his position. If you don't like it, you should have never supported him in the first place, for one. But for two, I mean, you look at Trump, there's only so much he can do and still win. They're still backing him into a corner, but if he took the bait and accepted some national restriction, even then these people would say it's not enough, it should be banned outright. Again, these people are just being counterproductive. So many people complaining over things that, again, they're dumb, because if Harris wins, you get mass amnesty. If Harris wins, Roe v. Wade will be codified eventually, because Republicans won't win an election ever again. And that's a problem. It's a big, big problem. Ash K2 says you're underestimating the enthusiasm of leftist creators like Hassan, TYT, etc. and their big How do they have a big audience? Like the only one that has a noticeable audience, first of all, you cite a guy who is a clown and was discovered to have like animated CP on his computer as some reason for why Trump is going to lose. Like, are you thinking this through? I don't think you are. I don't think you are. Hassan is somebody, he got destroyed in a debate by Charlie Kirk, like back before Charlie Kirk actually moved to the right on some solid issues, like immigration and stuff. He got wrecked. That was like 2018, Charlie Kirk. TYT, Chunk Yogurt's a meme. Like, they have a big following. Nobody watches Chunk Yogurt anymore. In fact, we like to, again, trash people like Ben Shapiro. He's a neocon, whatever. He's got a bigger following than TYT does. All these left-wing creators online, if the far left is excited, these are the same people that were excited about Bernie Sanders. How did that work out? Again, the excitement being astroturfed by certain people online that everybody in the real world would find unpalatable is not representative of Donald Trump's election chances. Like, I'm serious. This is what people don't understand. I don't even think all those people combined have like 10 million people in the country that know who they are, if I want to be honest. Maybe a little bit more than that, but still. If I go to even a Harris rally that's like filled with Democrat boomers and I ask them all these names, they probably haven't even heard of any of them that you mentioned. Probably not even Cenk himself. Let's see. Sam Madsen says, how much does Bashir's approval tank if he's the running mate? Like I said, I think that it would tank like 10, 15 points. I think that Kamala could still bottom out in Kentucky even if Bashir's on the ticket. Maybe it'll help with like independence in Kentucky because Kentucky's more of like a forgotten state. But again, I still think Trump is going to get more votes than he got or as a percentage in 2020, regardless of whatever she does. But it might help stop the bleeding. Gene, thank you for becoming a new member. Thu Kang 94 says, how accurate is Rasmussen? I don't trust Rasmussen. They're like the right-wing aggregate corrector, as I say, but I don't believe their polls are all that accurate. The methodology is a little sketchy. They're always over-favoring Republicans. They were off in 2018 by a lot. 2022, again, by a lot. 2020, they're off probably about the same as the rest of the polls, though. But like I said, it's an aggregate corrector. I'm fine with them in the aggregate, but I'm aware I don't really use their polls as evidence that Trump's doing good because I think that that's kind of a cop-out. He needs some milk, says Doomers must realize that they wouldn't have let Biden debate, much less drop out 4 months from November if they were so confident they could just rig. Exactly. Kai Gnosis says, okay. See, you want me to say things that are, look, out of context, this stuff is not going to play too well, all right? But appreciate the super chat. It's true. Everyone has to fight for the country. But just chill out. Zachary Howard says, how right was Polymarket in 2020? I have no idea. Predict It was off, I think, in a couple states. But they were actually more accurate on Predict It, I feel like, than most predictors. The Jaded Kriegsman says, I'm against abortion, but I value the 10th Amendment more. Best course for long-term national stability is returning power to the states. Well, the position decided nationally in general polls poorly with Republican voters. Again, this is kind of a winning position that probably gets more people in the long run if we message properly to be on the pro-life side. So again, people are just finding reasons to, I don't know, be different on the internet and lie and twist people's positions, twist Trump's positions, and claim that they're not going to support him. Like I said, I see it in 3 different groups. You have like the more dissident right that dooms on stuff that they were not dooming that was there in 2016 and even to a greater extent in 20, but they were less vocal then. You have the abortion people that are saying, well, he doesn't want a full ban, so I can't support him. It's like he never said he's pro-abortion. He just believes that we have to win elections. And then the third group, the like bitter primary people. Oh, Trump insulted DeSantis in the primary. It's called a primary for a reason, okay? If he could forgive Trump, why can't you people do it? Because a lot of these people probably never were really pro-Trump in the first place. Max Flores, his thoughts on Arizona's 6th. We don't have any results yet, but against Ciscomani probably is going to win. I mean, it's more of a bluer district. He's a rhino, but he's probably going to win it. We'll see. Again, we got David Schweikert. He's like really a chronic underperformer in a primary, but come general election time, he'll just blow the doors off the Democrat in the swing district, or at least win by a noticeable amount, like outperform Trump and stuff. Let's see. Philip Garcia says, remember the people obsessing over my body, my choice are the same people that wanted those who refused to be lab rats to lose their jobs. Exactly. We know they're hypocrites. We know it. They don't care. They have the power levers. If you have the power levers, you can be hypocritical with immunity. Buck Naked 99 for 2. I have memes says on Google, it always says Kufa's trending result. It's over. No more mandates, pokes, tests. It's over. For God's, well, you got to tell that to the long COVID. People, they actually think that there's this thing. It's called long COVID, and people think that they have. It's got to be some sort of mental thing, obviously, with a lot of these people. But the hour mark is about to pass. Yeah, first results expected after 11. We could have delayed the stream an hour, but I mean, you guys would rather be here. It's like the Trump thing. You guys would rather be here than doing anything else. Make sure you guys like the stream. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We're 57 away from 190. I want to hit 200. If we could hit it in August, that'd be great. But we want to hit 200K. We've been putting out content like crazy. I put a video out every day this month, which I don't believe I've done for a very long time, except the day that Trump was shot. And I was actually editing a video when it happened. That video is never gonna see the light of day. Maybe one day I'll put it out in the second channel or something with an explanation. But either way, yeah. Let's see. Mike Oxard says, "Hey Rep, would Lake or Lamb do better in general?" Well, it really just depends, honestly. I think that people are dooming on Lake. I think that she probably is going to outrun expectations, honestly. I think that Lamb, just because people are like, oh, well, he's not Lake and he's not hated, doesn't mean that they won't make him hated. Doesn't necessarily mean that they won't be able to, just slam the airwaves with the money Gallego has, because Lamb has no money. And you're asking him to mount a campaign up in a few months. Like, that's why partially why I support Kerry, is because I'm really kind of questioning if Lamb could even win. I mean, Gallego, he's very far left, but again, can you set the narrative in time? Lamb would be playing catch-up. Lake is already playing catch-up, but she's at least has a presence somewhere. If she loses tonight, it's mainly because I feel like there wasn't a focus on this primary, and these mail-in, more establishmentarian Republicans are going to be backing somebody like a Mark Lamb, and you have crossover voters and some independent voters that are going to vote in the Republican. I didn't even know they could do that, I thought, but I did hear some people that were doing it. I don't know if they're switching registration or whatnot, but Security TV says pro-life messaging on state levels is horrible. Oh, exactly. It's really bad. It's really bad. Garrett Vranikar says Harris is a threat because Republicans underestimate her. I don't know who's underestimating her. I don't think I'm underestimating her. He says she's going to do better with women and minority voters, which again, I disagree. She'll do better with black women. I don't think she'll do better with Hispanics at all when it's all said and done. But it is true. We got to fight. Also, Vance was a never Trumper, big deal. A lot of people didn't vote for Trump the first time that voted for him the second time and will vote for him this time. To say that Vance can't redeem himself, I think is a little different. You look at the guy and how he's improved. It's not like he's like a Lindsey Graham type of dude who also voted for McMuffin, who's going to repeat the establishment talking points. But, when it comes down to just campaign season in 2020-24, he's going to just go out there and praise Trump for whatever reason. Vance is somebody who ideologically changed. And while some people are concerned about is he malleable, he's barely been in the Senate, I trust him more than I trust most other people. Plain and simple. I thought maybe some other people like a Rubio or a Youngkin could help Trump better electorally. I can't imagine Trump polling any like 1 or 2 point, maybe like 1 point better if you pick one of those. But Vance is not really the drag on the ticket some people think either. I don't really see that. It's mainly online. People hear about Vance. His movie is number one. His book is number one. I mean, if anything, Vance and just being Vance is helping bring people to Trump in a roundabout way. Some people might not believe it, but it's true. So we don't have any results yet. It says last updated. Did we get results? Or I don't think we got results. We did get some projections, but those are all elections where there was no possible challenger. So Ruben Gallego, they called it for Gallego, but again, there was no challenger to Gallego. Jet Jones says Rasmussen was correct in 2022. Were they really? I mean, they were more accurate than some Actually, they weren't that far off. They weren't that, you're right. They were R plus 5 was R plus 3. Okay, that's fair. They did better than I thought. Okay. But a lot of these polls, they're an outlier. So again, maybe subtract a few points from Trump. Maybe that means that Trump is up 4 over Kamala, like the Harris poll shows. That's more plausible. Let's see. Johnny Hart Dog, not starting off the stream, but starting off the hour, says, "Hi, I'm a little late tonight. I'm studying for my CDL to become a school bus driver. Please have the people watching say a prayer that all goes well." Well, thank you for the super chat, and I'm sure we will. Buck Naked 99 says, "How much weight you put on Alan Lichtman's prediction?" 0. Look, here's the problem. He got 2016 right. Well, first of all, that's debatable because he was on track record saying in September of 2016, October, Trump is going to lose to Hillary. Interesting. Okay, we have results, and Mark Lamb is in the lead. And now Kari Lake is in the lead. Okay, it's back and forth and back and forth. We're getting it all at once, folks. Mark Lamb won Pinal County. That's expected. He's the sheriff of Pinal County. You would expect him to do really well there. Lake is up in Maricopa. She's up in Coconino. I think Lake's going to win this. This is the early vote dump. If she won the early vote in Maricopa County by 13, I think it's very, very, very hard to see Lamb win. So there's that. Let's check the congressional results. Stephen Reicher's actually losing. This rhino guy who runs the election system. He might lose. He might go down. That's interesting. But Blake Masters is actually losing in the 8th district. That's interesting because Masters was up in the polls. You think he would have done well with the early vote, but apparently not. We'll see if that Trump co-endorsement can change things, or I guess it just depends on where in the district the votes are coming in from. But Siscomani's winning, but again, that's the early vote. The early vote is at 6%, though. There's a lot we don't know. There's a lot we just don't know. But we'll see. 46% of the vote is in. Kari Lake is in the lead over Mark Lamb. Mark Lamb winning his home county. Again, that's expected. Kari Lake performing probably in line with my expectations overall. Lamb is not far behind. But again, keep in mind, Kari Lake in the 2022 primary, she was opening up at like a 10-point deficit, and people were going crazy in chat dooming. But we're seeing it right now. It's much different. But yeah, Lichtman said the third party key in 2016 was true for Gary Johnson, who's polled worse than RFK, but now it's false because RFK is not at 10%. Like, the guy's not consistent. He just says TDS. He's been accurate, but a lot of these elections he's predicted are easy elections to predict. Like 2008, nobody had McCain winning. 2012, I don't think anybody except Team Romney had Romney winning. And that was partially part of their downfall, why they lost so bad. But yeah, I don't really put weight into it. This election could be decided by 1,000 votes in Pennsylvania. You can't really gauge the barometer based off of that. You might be right and you might be wrong. But 1,000 votes in Pennsylvania either way, you're not going to have some antiquated model that's going to be able to go out there and accurately predict the election. Christian Thorpe says Trump must get back on Twitter. Well, I mean, there's a lot of controversy. He's polling. People critique Trump. He's polling at his record high point ever. Like, let's be real here. You're like, oh, Trump's doing this. Trump's doing that. Well, Trump is doing something right, clearly. I mean, plain and simple. Quiet Part Out Loud says we need to get a way to post 40-year-old single childless cat lady memes on the chat. They're too much fun. Well, I don't think that you could post memes in YouTube chat. Johnny Hart Dog also says, for 10, I want to voice my opinion about the percentages you talked about. The live stream, I had it as 70 before the debate, 80 after, and 55 to 60 with Kamala. That's fair. A little bit low, I think, but fair. I think, went from like a 5-1, 6-1 Trump favorite to probably about a 2-1. But again, keep in mind, Kamala Harris always implodes. It'd be miraculous for her if she won. It would be. Now, I'm not saying that to be overconfident, but I'm just saying it to be real. Midwestern Populist's thoughts on Rufus constantly attacking Vance. Rufus is a clown. Rufus is a clown. Rufus is okay, we have more results. Yeah, Yuma See, Lake does well with Hispanics. She does well with Hispanic voters, which I think helps her. She probably does a little bit weaker among these like McCain types in Eastern Maricopa. But I think she has a shot. Yeah, I think she has a shot to win. Mark Lamb is not like he's actually on the issues like relatively solid, so it's not like she's going up against an establishment Republican either, and she's doing better. So she asked Lamb to run actually before she decided to jump in the race. But he'll probably run for something in the future. This definitely is going to raise his profile, but you can't go into a race against somebody like Kari Lake and be underfunded, and then you run against Trump's endorsement and all that other stuff. So again, and regardless of whoever people supported, we got to get the nominee over the finish line come November. So let's check this out. They didn't call. Okay, Hamadeh's ahead so far in the 8th, which again, he's the initial Trump endorsement. It's 4,000 vote difference. It depends on election day vote. It depends if Masters is going to have an election day surge. Ben Toma's right there, but he's more establishment. So Toma, Franks, they probably fall. So it just depends on where the more MAGA electorate, the most MAGA 35% is going to go. It could go to the original endorsement, or it could go to Blake Masters. Who knows? Let's see. Johnny Heartdog for 20 says the reason why I have it much lower is because if they fudge the polls to make it appear like it's neck and neck, they can do all kinds of shenanigans without raising suspicion. After all, she's close in the polls. Well, I mean, it just depends. It just depends on the post-analysis of the results. I can't jump to conclusions till we review that, but we know what they're capable of. We know I wouldn't put it at 55. I'd probably put it at like 65, but it's true. It's not going to be easy. Thomas Willingham's, thank you for becoming a member. Mike Oxart says Raya is going to win. Yeah, so true. What's he at? Or she at 5.9%. Yeah, probably hurt Mark Lamb the most overall. But again, I'm assuming that a lot of this is election or early vote. Early vote gets dumped first. So Pima County is going to be interesting. But again, Mark Lamb, Kari Lake has basically got this most likely in the bag. But Lamb is winning Graham County, which is not super surprising because it's right next to Pinal. Pima is going to decide it for sure. If Lamb doesn't win the early vote in Pima, Lake's got it. So CCM 28 says thoughts on Matt Walsh. I like him, but he thinks that MAGA's best campaign strategy is to have Matt Walsh type's campaign. In my opinion, it'd be horrible. No, all these people critiquing the Trump campaign are critiquing the most successful Trump campaign to date, period. When you talk about gaining voters, adding voters, he's polling at the highest level he's ever polled, period. You can't change that. So again, he's stronger than ever. He's more favorably viewed than ever. But so many people think that Trump is the one that's messing up, but they can't articulate it well. You try to debate some of these people, it's a waste of time. It doesn't go anywhere. They want Trump to embrace positions that are not popular, in many cases among Republicans, because they live online. And what plays well with whatever niche online community doesn't necessarily play well with the American voter. These are people that don't understand the views and the things that the average like disaffected white guy in Wisconsin or whatever go through, and it shows. Like Trump's messaging to them resonates far better than whatever they want Trump's messaging to be. And that's kind of the problem. You have to talk to these people. What do you think would help? Because people are mad about Project 25. Trump doesn't want anything to do with it. The average Trump voter that he gains in the Rust Belt that might even still vote Democrat in the midterm is not going to support banning contraception. I hate to break it to you, it's just not something that resonates with them. And if Trump distances himself from it, it's like, okay, fine, whatever. I like the staffing proposals that they had, but the policy is used against him. And they still will use it against him, but it's going to stick less. So keep in mind. Gerald Armstrong says, saw you on DG's stream last night. We need to make the 13 keys a meme for his stream. Well, I've got to talk to him about that, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I saw an AI on, I think it was Twitter, an AI image. It was like the old man losing his keys. I think they fell down. The same guy that said, "Oh, replace Biden. You can't replace Biden because then Democrats are going to lose." It's like these same. Okay, Schweikert actually won easily. That's kind of surprising. He usually has more of a fight. But Siskamani, he's also in a good position. Did Pima's not in, for the record. Pima's not in. Siskamani's numbers probably go up when it comes in. But yeah, that's the early vote in a lot of the counties. Not Pima, the second largest. Nothing out of Santa Cruz, which is tiny. Then Prescott, nothing there. You do have Greenlee, very tiny. Apache, or however you pronounce it. But Lake is in a stronger position than she was in 2022. In the primary, that is, not necessarily the general. Of an Anaconda for Tense is just sworn in today as an election official for my county in Virginia. I identify as a libertarian, but this is the most important election of our lifetime, and I want to be on the right side of history. Well, there you go. People that vote third party are wasting their time. People that stay home are wasting their time. If you stay home, you get to complain about nothing. Okay, you get to complain about nothing for the next 4 years if you want to stay at home. I don't want to hear a word about Kamala Harris because you own it. You own the Harris administration if you stay home. Period. Sam Madsen says if Romney hadn't stopped campaigning after September, how much bleeding would have stopped? Well, he might have won Florida. He might have maybe won Ohio or something. But again, he was not a strong candidate. He was a flip-flopper that was able to be defined early. What is Trump trying to do to Kamala? Define her early. That's why you have all these ads. She's weak on crime. She pays bail for rioters. She caused the border crisis. It's all true. Kamala's saying, oh, well, Trump didn't like this obscure border bill that Republicans didn't want. Like, that doesn't sit well. It's just not true. It's a dishonest ad, and it doesn't resonate. That's the problem with it. Let's see. Apex Caliber says Newswire says Shapiro is VP. Well, I don't think they've picked the VP. They haven't picked the VP. Maybe it'll be picked for her, but I still think they're weighing it. There's multiple options. Shapiro could be it. Maybe it's Mark Kelly. Maybe it's Bashir. Gary Peters was the name yesterday. Newswire is Newswire. And then you have Pima, and Kari Lake is doing very well in Pima. Again, a lot of Hispanics are pro, it seems like, pro Kari Lake more so than the average, like, white, suburbanite is pro Kari Lake. But Lake is going to do well in a place like Mojave County because that's where a lot of Trump's base is. And okay, Prescott's in. She won Prescott. She's on track to victory, easy victory. Lamb will probably finish below 40 when it's all said and done. He won Pinal. He will likely win Pinal. He might win Graham. There are some election day votes out in Graham. I don't know if he's going to win. Gila's close, but it depends on election day votes for sure. But it seems like as of right now, Republicans did their part in voting early more, which I give them a hell of a lot of credit for that because we got to vote early so we don't have the machine. There's no machine issues. If you can vote early, do it. Because you don't want to be standing in line in Maricopa County and then boom, all the things go out the window. Boom, it's over. Yeah. Okay. Mike Oxart says, I think Lichtman drank his own Kool-Aid in his wish casting a Kamala win. He thinks his predictions. Well, they don't decide the winner. Because either way, he either got 2000 wrong or 2016 wrong. So make your pick. His keys have gotten elections wrong in the past. Though the economy is good according to the keys. According to the American people, it's not. And he's wish casting that the public perception is going to change in the next 2 months when ballots go out in some places in like 50 some days. So again, Lichtman is not the one to be demoralized by because, like I said, he predicted an overwhelming victory by that logic for Biden. And again, that election was decided in, again, we talk about the election system and the overhaul and everything like that. If you had the 2016 election system in place, Trump would have won handily. No questions about it. The liberals would be saying he used COVID to rig. They would have. You think that if Trump won, the left would have probably done some, January something. Probably would have done it a lot sooner. Dave M says Kamala's husband is a total goofball. Yeah, he's not relevant though. I don't really care. But you're probably right. Jet Jones says Roger Moore was the best bond, make bond fun again. Clint Little for 10 says my idea for poll security. I have people from, let's say, Sweden or Switzerland tally the votes, people with no interest in American politics. Well, if you're running an America First candidate like Donald Trump, these people around the world might not take kindly to that. So I don't know. I get what you're saying. I think we need poll watchers, period. Both sides can have them. The left has them. The right needs more of them. That's why they invested. Okay. Clint. Okay, we did that one. Say it louder for the people in back, please. Says Kerry Lake is part Ojibwe Indian. Hispanics would identify. Is that actually true? I'm surprised she doesn't lean into that more if that's actually true. I know her husband is, I think, at least part Hispanic. She did well. She did better than Trump with a lot of Hispanic voters in the midterms. And Hispanic voters, or Hispanic Republicans, probably a little bit less likely to turn out. I think you're probably going to see a big shift to Trump with Hispanics this fall. He might break the record. He might break Bush's record. He might break 40. I could see it. Polls usually overestimate Republicans with Hispanics, partially because I think they tend to do better with ones that speak English, who are more likely to respond to pollsters, but you are seeing a real shift. Let's see, Hamster Eater 96 has just voted Reichert for governor, Serrano for AG, Garcia for Senate, and Maycumber for Congress. I did my part. Isn't that in... that's in Washington. Interesting. We'll see what happens. Probably not going to flip, but the governor races tend to be a lot closer than the presidential ones. But just vote. Doesn't matter what state you're in. Don't waste a vote on a third party. We'll win. We got to win the popular vote. That's a big thing we got to get done. Patriot 345 says Stephen Ricker is losing. Yeah, I mean, I noticed that. And again, keep in mind, he's basically a liberal on election stuff. It's true that the Democrat probably well, maybe the Democrat won't even win this November. So again, if Trump wins Maricopa County, I could absolutely, it depends on who wins it. I don't know much about Justin Heap, what appeal he brings to the table, but I could see Republicans actually pick that up, just depending on how they do it. Because it's not just that he said, oh, Biden won, it's how he's handled it. He's got ballots flying all over the place. He's a clown. He's incompetent. There's a difference between putting somebody up there who, does their job properly and somebody who does their job poorly. This guy does not do his job poorly and just fights with people on Twitter all day. Like that's not how you do your job. I'm glad he lost. I'm glad he's probably going to lose. Let's see. Polite Rude Guy says, I could never vote for a woman president. God's the head of the house. The men are than women. America's our home. Well, it's all true, although I'd probably vote for a lot of different hypothetical women over Biden. But, some people would prefer a male president. There's nothing wrong with that, honestly. There's nothing wrong with preferring a male president. I feel like I probably would myself. But, again, I wouldn't say it's the number one deal breaker. Kamala Harris could be a guy. Does not matter. I'm voting against her because she's awful. Just like Hillary Clinton, I'm voting against her because she's awful. Like, if that's the tiebreaker, that's the tiebreaker. That's not the tiebreaker, period. So, Patriot 345 says incumbent Maricopa sheriff is losing. Is that on the Democrat side? Interesting. Let me see. You're right. You're right. That's interesting. I wonder why. We could pick that off, potentially. Again, if they put this guy up, assuming he's primarying out from the left and he's crazy, we could pick off that seat or that sheriff's post. We could pick it off, potentially. David Schweikert won. Do we have any updates on the other races? Nothing new in the 8th District. This was supposed to be the primary of the night. We have one vote dump, and that's it. Abe Hamadeh in the lead. Blake Masters behind. It's probably going to go to Hamadeh, honestly. So, Trump's co-endorsement, it depends how that fuels Election Day turnout, but Hamadeh probably, I'd say, is the favorite. He had a lot of late momentum I know the Masters bros are probably not going to be too happy about that, but look, if he wins, he's going to be fine. Hamadeh's probably going to be fine as a congressman. Like, does he have a shady past, it seems like? Yeah, but at the end of the day, a lot of these like MAGA types who just become MAGA, if they make it to Congress, they usually are okay at a minimum. So I wouldn't lose sleep over it. Like, I wanted Blake preferably, but I mean, he did not get the initial Trump endorsement, and probably, I mean, there's still vote out, but we'll see. Either way, let's see, Kari Lake 53.3%. No new updates here. I don't know if there's any vote dumps past this point besides the two counties that haven't reported. But we'll continue. Make sure you guys like the show, like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new. We'll keep going. We have a lot of results, but we'll keep going. And we hit 190. Let's hit 191. Maybe not on stream, but like the video down below. Subscribe as well. They called it for Lake. Not surprising. There's no path forward for Lamb. I don't know how the election day votes are going to shake out, but he's not gonna have enough to make up the difference. He'd have to win them like 80-20 or something like that. Maybe less than that, but it'd be like 70 something. Agent K says received a DNC brief today. They're hiring male creators. Of course they are. Everything they have is fake. Everyone is bought and paid for. Like, they're raising a lot of money. It's good, but they're good for them, but not good for us. But it's good that a lot of that money goes to people like Harry Sisson, who just are clowns and don't move the needle in their favor and probably move the needle against their favor. So let them spend all this money on all these people, all these creators that are unpalatable to the median voter, and will probably never get their stuff seen in public. You know, they're talking about, Kamala Harris, and, she's like got this coconut tree thing, and these like random singers that have like albums, and she's like trying to mimic the aesthetics. And it's like, this does not appeal to the average voter. A lot of the people it appeals to probably are young women, many of whom aren't even old enough to vote. So again, I don't really see what's going on here as a positive thing for the Harris campaign. I feel like what you're seeing is a temporary bump, and that's not to say that it's complacency, but some of the people saying you're too complacent, I feel like they're just being counterproductive, because there's no evidence that backs up anything these people are really saying. You know, these polls that we see are just very incompatible. You're telling me Harris is running 15 points behind in Michigan than she is in Wisconsin? I mean, if you believe this, I don't know what to tell you. But these people will choose to believe she's winning both those states because that's what they want to do. I don't even know how to explain it. Some of them want Trump to win. Like, doomerism past a certain point has to be like a mental screw not being there type of ordeal, because it just doesn't make sense. Okay, we have more votes. We got Greenlee County. Yeah, Lake is ahead in Greenlee. Lake is probably going to win all but maybe two counties. Mike Oxart says, I think Harris is like Hillary but less electable. Hillary had a lot of strong qualities. Harris doesn't. Hillary was evil. That's kind of a good thing, because if you're evil, you're usually smart. Harris is just dumb. All right, it's true. They say don't call a woman dumb, but she's dumb. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, Biden's dumb. He's a man. Like, I agree with Trump that he probably should steer clear of a lot of these, like, personal... And he was doing it with Biden. He steered clear of a lot of, like, the personal attacks other than just him being, like, funny. And he is, it seems, for the most part. But Harris is not exactly a very intelligent person. Hillary was intelligent. I really don't like Hillary, but she was intelligent. Barack Obama, don't like Barack Obama. He was intelligent. Kamala Harris, she's dumb. She's a dumb. And usually that doesn't translate well down the stretch. And she's abusive. She abused all of her staff. They quit within a year when she took over the White House. She's not a very likable person behind the scenes either. And that's not a good thing, because people are not going to really want to work for a boss that does that. And just imagine how she'll run the country. as well. You know, the Amy Klobuchar stuff, she's like Amy Klobuchar on steroids. I don't know if she eats salad with a comb, but who knows? Let's see. On Point Politics for 10 says Megyn was at a Harris rally performing who doesn't appeal to the average voter. Quavo lost a rap battle this year just a few months ago. If Kamala was in touch, Quavo wouldn't be there. A disaster. It's true. Like, it is true. I don't listen to these female rappers by and large, but I feel like at least the Megyn, she was, 4 years ago, I think she was really well known in a lot of songs. I don't really keep up with that. Quavo, on the other hand, he's like one of the Migos guys. Aren't they like disbanded? Like, it's like Quavo hasn't been relevant in years. So yeah, I mean, this is what they're doing. Trump has better rappers on his side. He got Lil Wayne, 50 Cent. He won't say it, but you know it's true. He's Lil Wayne. He has 50 Cent. He's got, I mean, Lil Pump is the loudest. He's also irrelevant, but I mean, DaBaby. These are probably more prominent names on the Trump side than you have on the Harris side. You have the guy from Ray Shremmerd who came out and said, don't vote for Kamala. Do your research. He's said he would vote Trump over Biden. He's probably voting for Trump. Like, he's probably more relevant than Quavo. I don't know. American Nerd 1776 is what's happening with Masters? Does he have a shot? He's down right now. I probably would say that he might close the gap a little bit. I don't know if he's winning. So, let's see. Did they update the race? No, the race is still at 65%. There's no new update. We may not know on stream tonight. It's going to take a while. But Lake is at 53.3% statewide. I'd like for every county to fully report, but Maricopa County is at 69%. One thing I'll say, I really like the fact that Republicans voted early this cycle. I like it. I like it a lot. They did their part. They did their job. This is what we wanted for a long time. And they're in Arizona. They're getting it done. I think TPUSA's done a great job with that as well. But if we need people to vote as soon as they can, well, maybe you wait a little bit because you don't want to give them too much data. But like the week before, yeah. You know, people, I don't know why so many people are against it. If you're against mailing it in, that's one thing. But early voting is not necessarily the same as all these mail-in ballots or mass mail-in ballots. You know, we need people voting. And some people didn't vote on election day in 2020 or 2022 because they couldn't make it, X, Y, and Z. There's so many different reasons, and that's a problem because you're leaving votes off the table. So, you know, I'd probably encourage people to vote early, like the week before or 2 weeks before, bank your vote, and then we can, down the stretch, get other, because you can track your vote. You can wait and see what's going to go on. Okay, we have more super chats. Dustin Carner says, Rust Belt Governor Shapiro or Southern Governor Bashir VP. Vance could eat Bashir alive. I'd probably rather Bashir be the VP. The Rust Belt thing, I don't think Shapiro uniquely has a Rust Belt appeal. I think that he has appeal where he can beat weak candidates in Pennsylvania, and people like him as governor because he's governed as kind of a moderate, but that's going to change when he starts attacking Trump on the national stage. I mean, it's pretty obvious. So while Democrats are like, oh, Shapiro's the dagger, he gives us Pennsylvania, it's like, hold up. He might help him out in Pennsylvania, but if he gets exposed for all the dirt, I think you could even say he'd hurt in Pennsylvania because the Pennsylvania media has covered for this guy unlike, you know, any other way they could do it. I mean, the national media is not going to be able to do that for him. On Point Politics says Chris Brown beat Quavo. Migos disbanded because Takeoff died. Horrible decision by Harris. She's out of touch with rap culture. Well, that's, I mean, good for us. If she appears out of touch to the public. Let's see. Okay, every county's in. So now we just wait. We just wait to see if they can run up the score among the election day. Hopefully they count them in time. Hopefully. So that means we're probably going to get results in on election night in Arizona in 98 days from now at probably around 10 by 10 from 10 to 10:30 Central. So 11 to 11:30 Eastern, we're going to get results. And now Fox called Arizona at 11:20 for Donald Trump. Is it possible that we could get for Biden? Could we get a Fox call for Trump early this time in Arizona? suspiciously early. They did it for him in Wisconsin in 2016. You never know. That'd be the turning point. Because if that happens, then I'll be confident. I'll be like, okay, this is the energy is indeed shifted. It's changed. But yeah, okay. Ash K2 says, only be confident if LTE predicts a Trump win. Well, this is the problem. LTE he underestimated Trump both times he predicted his elections. So, no, it's true. I overestimated him in 2020, did not in 2016, even though I didn't make a channel back then. I thought he would win New Hampshire, but I didn't think he'd win Michigan. He won Michigan. He lost New Hampshire. Other than that, my prediction held up. So you can maybe blame the 538 swingometer for that, but I think you should have better barometers. I think you should see, differences in polling, and I think we'll have early voting data that'll kind of showcase some sort of, if it's clear, sometimes it's unclear. But no, look, it's going to be a hard-fought election, but the dooming is not necessary from anybody. It's a waste of time. We got to win this thing. It doesn't help Trump to win. You're just wasting time basically feeling bad about yourself. It's like, actually go out there and change things. Make sure you can go out and, get voters to vote. Do your part. Plain and simple. Every poll that we've conducted, we do the callback sample, voters are flipping to Trump from Biden. Far more than the inverse. In Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, that's all good. That's all good. Let's see. Nasty Mandy says, hey, Rep, random question. Do you control what ads are on your vids? I just got a Harris ad. I do not. And good. I actually like the fact we got a Harris ad, because you know what that means? It means they're wasting money on my videos where nobody's voting for. So again, they're wasting money in Florida. A lot of money in Florida. Let them waste money in Florida. Harris will probably lose Florida by double digits. She supported all these Bernie Sanders things. You're going to lose Miami-Dade County probably by, 10, 15 to Trump? I mean, she might even lose Palm Beach County. She'll do worse among Cubans in the Orlando area. She'll do worse across the board in Florida. I'm not saying Trump's margin's going to look like DeSantis's or Rubio's, because presidential elections have higher turnout, and those same people wouldn't replicate that if they were the nominee for president. But I do believe that, yeah, Donald Trump in the state of Florida I'd say probably wins by 12 against Kamala. Probably by around 12. Give or take. That's my prediction. Maybe it's lofty. Maybe it'll end up being 8 or 9. Maybe the down ballot referendum will actually have some sort of enthusiasm poll, or maybe her wasting money on Florida will make it closer, but it's not going to be within 7. No matter what she does, it won't be within 7. So let them keep coping. Dustin Carner says, would Bashir help North Carolina and Georgia since he's from the Upper South? Probably not. Look, like I said, the VP pick is extraordinary. The effect on the election is usually overrated. It's like saying, well, will Tim Kaine win Hillary, North Carolina, because Tim Kaine is from Virginia? Or will Paul Ryan help Mitt Romney win Wisconsin? We saw that didn't happen. I think Romney did maybe a little tiny bit better in Ryan's district, but not by much. And Trump, I think, did even better come 2016 by far. So again, there is this home state thing, but if you're on the national stage, you're very, very different, period. You're an entirely different person, and you're taking different positions, and you're going to get clowned on, and your popularity in your state is going to nosedive, whether it's Bashir in Kentucky, whether it's it would have been Roy Cooper, whether it would have been him, which it's not going to be him, whether if it would have been Gretchen Whitmer, who's also said she wouldn't do it, Tim Walz, although his state's more liberal anyway, so maybe not for him. But what's it called? Josh Shapiro, yeah, Shapiro's got his whole career is a honeymoon period. Nobody's attacking him. Nobody's had a reason to, and all the candidates he's run against for AG again, and governor, they didn't spend any money against him. So what do you think that just amounts to? But he's outperformed. He outperformed the top of the ticket on the Democrat side by 2 to 3 points each time when he was on the Attorney General ballot against very weak candidates. I mean, come on. Let's get real. Mr. Jimmy says thoughts on Kamala doing the accent on her rally? Well, I thought it was, again, she is half Indian. She identified with the half Indian side of her family instead of the half Jamaican when she was growing up, and she spent much of her childhood growing up in the country of Canada. And, you know, in half Indian people who identify as Indian and grow up in Canada, they don't, you know, usually naturally sound like a black woman from the South when they're talking. So again, it's pandering. That's what she's doing. That's not how she's. I mean, Obama did it. He does it more now, but he did it back in 2008. 2008, he came off more Midwestern. I think it's partially why he did so well in the Midwest. But, you know, when he would talk to a black audience, he probably would put a little bit more slang in there, even back then. Kamala, I think, is doing the same, except with her, she's so fake. She's so fake. Trump is blacker than she, like skin tone wise. Like, he's probably darker. He's orange. She's like, you know, I don't know, like off-white kind of, maybe like a little bit tan. So, you know, it is what it is. But Trump, I mean, Trump's got more street credit for sure. Kamala Harris puts collard greens in the bathtub. Donald Trump takes a bullet. Which one do you think resonates more? I mean, obviously we know black voters are going to vote 80% plus for Kamala Harris regardless. But, you know, just if you think about it like that, you know, who would these people vote for? If this was like a Democrat primary and you have just people know the facts, who are they going to choose? Probably Trump. Let's see. Tommy Robinson says Arizona's election system is worse than Venezuela's. At least it doesn't take Venezuela 2 weeks to... Well, it's more blatant for Venezuela. But I agree with the fact that their system sucks. But I will say I think we're winning Arizona this fall. I think the border's making it too much to overcome, and I think Hispanics are going to move right, and I think that it's going to be a good thing. Although it is true this guy lost his primary, he might be seething. He should just resign. Honestly, he might be more untrustworthy than a Democrat at this point. And I don't like saying that for most of these races, but you know, he's behaving the same way. His role is, you know, specifically about elections, and he's spiteful. He wants to spite the MAGA wing of the Republican Party. So yeah, I don't trust this guy, but I will say that probably we're going to win. Even if we lose Maricopa County, I still think we're going to win Arizona. Let's see. Seahawks, Brendan Nelson says some of these people wouldn't have lasted an hour in the 2016 cycle. I remember purple South Carolina and Indiana, and Clinton plus 13 that cycle. Yeah, no, it's true. These people were not around back then. They would have probably been saying that, oh, Hillary Clinton's going to win Kansas and Missouri and Indiana. Some of these people that were around now, you go back then, you look, they were saying that. And honestly, they were wrong. I try to stay level-headed. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. Like with Trump and Biden, yeah, I think Trump might have won Virginia, Minnesota. But with Harris, as of right now, I don't think those are high priorities. If she implodes, they could be down the line. But, you know, as of right now, we got to focus in. That's why Trump's going to Atlanta, the same arena. He's probably going to pack it to the brim. It's going to be epic. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing. Again, make sure you guys like the stream down below. Make sure you subscribe. Let's hit 3,000 likes. We're almost at 3,000. We have 3,000 people. Plus, there's no reason why we shouldn't be hitting it. We we're well on our way to 191K. Like and subscribe. The video from 3 hours ago has got 100,000 views. What's going on? Something's happening. The energy is unlike anything we've seen. 3 hours, 100. I don't think we've ever had that before. That's huge. You guys are doing a great job. I know it's not going to say it on YouTube because it's like delayed. It probably shows it at like 40-something thousand. But let's see. Midwestern populace says, why are there no doomers on the left ever? Because they know how to win. They know how to win, and we don't. We just and again, like these people with their antics, the left would never do this. The left is like, oh, Mitch McConnell's going to lose in Kentucky. And I think that, yeah, they had problems in 2022. It was in 2020 as well, calendar year 2020. And it was almost their downfall. But when you're a little bit behind and you have you're more of I guess the opposite of doomer. Some people say is like bloomer or something. Like if you have that mindset, you're going to be better off. And I think a lot of Republicans did, and they almost, well, even then it took some possible shenanigans to undercut a Trump second term. But if we win, it'll all be worth it. We'll have a trifecta. We'll get to work. It'll be better than ever before. So it's part of the ride. American Nerd 1776 says, I talked to someone who supports Hamadeh. They told me Masters should have contested his Senate race because of what happened in Maricopa. I think that's dumb because he lost by 5 thoughts. Yeah, I agree. He lost fair and square. Plain and simple. Like, people that are mad at Masters because of that aren't, like, viewing... Like, there's reasons to be skeptical of Masters. I think that there are people he's surrounded himself with that are, you know... And I'm sure Abe has done the same. But in reality, the guy lost. Like, he lost by 5. Like, you're talking about... a guy who was out, if you're outspent by that much, you lose fair and square. Now, there were shenanigans. I get it. I think maybe 1% of the vote may have been determined by that 1, maybe 2, not even. So Kerry contested, Abe contested, Mark Fincham contested. He also lost fair and square. But Blake Masters, no, he lost fair and square. There are levels to this stuff. Some people give the opposition too much credit for what they do. But I don't know. I think it's also because, he didn't, like, speak out enough about it. But again, people have been doing this for a long time and we haven't made any progress, and it's like we got to go back to the drawing board and review our strategy. But I care more about immigration. People are like not understanding why I care more about immigration than like election integrity, because if you allow all these people into our country and you have a history of being weak on immigration, I'm going to be more skeptical of you. Because that's real election interference, and it's not even tallied up as fraud. I mean, these people that they're importing, they vote 80-20 Democrat, and they want, to increase the level. It's kind of an issue. So either way, it doesn't matter. Look, Hamadeh is going to be a decent congressman, assuming he wins, which he probably does. It's not really worth talking about. But I don't know if I agree with that mindset. But I don't think that mindset necessarily did him in, because those people were like only Hamadeh people. And there's 22% of the people in this election that voted for Ben Toma. I mean, again, it's still not over. They haven't called it yet. But it's not just like that's the only reason. There's a few people I like in the in the running. It is what it is. But Carrie Lake won. That's something, people were saying, she's going to underperform. It seems like she probably wins by 20, and the poll was seemingly accurate, which if that's an accurate poll for the primary, maybe it means it'll be accurate for the general. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, we have more super chats to do. We have a lot more than I thought. Eric Billiter says, I click through every Harris ad, helps them waste more. Nasty Mandy says, do you believe in the narrative she won't pick Shapiro because he's Jewish? ? Supposedly bad optics. Well, is it really bad optics if they don't leak it? Because I heard this, that Obama was saying that could be a problem for them electorally. Obviously, it's bad optics for him, but will it ever be leaked? That's another question. Probably not. So Squeaks6723 says, I heard the Amish are pissed and coming out to vote for Trump. The Dems are threatening their way of life by the FDA regulations. You know what? It's also Josh Shapiro's fault, and nobody's attacking him on it, but it's true. CCM28 says, Migos are from Atlanta, so not surprised of attendance. Yeah, there's a lot more prominent rappers that are more relevant from Atlanta, though, that could have been there that weren't, but I digress. Joshua Kaplan says, hi, Rep. Hope all is well. Are you going to do more football content on the second channel? Maybe. Not now, because the election's more important, but you never know. G-Storm NM says, a poll in New Mexico shows R+4 shift. New Mexico's almost a guarantee flip for Harrell. Are Republicans making a mistake ignoring New Mexico's third? I don't know if it's a guaranteed flip, but I think that there's a shot at flips. I don't know if they're ignoring the other seat. It depends on the candidates. I mean, it comes from the top of the ticket. If New Mexico's close and Trump contests it, it's going to be a different lay of the land. I don't know if he's going to do that, though. Mike Oxart says, what do you think about 47 going back to Butler, Pennsylvania? It's on brand for him. Dustin Carner says, Southerner from Kentucky, North Carolina, Georgia, or Midwesterner from Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota. If you're talking about who helps Harris more, it would definitely be the latter. I just don't know if there's going to be somebody that's going to move the needle significantly. Robert, oh wait, hold up, we missed one. M says, leader of Hamas just got, really? That's interesting. They say he died. Iran says he died. I don't know what motivation that they would have to lie about that, but that's interesting. So Hamas's leader, like I said, there's a lot of these people. I don't know who assassinated him, though. I assume it was Israel, but I have no idea. Robert Riddle says, do you think the Republicans take the Senate, maintain House control, and win the White House in November? Yeah, probably. I mean, they're going to get the Senate. The Senate's basically free. The House, I think, is a lot harder than some people think it is for them to lose. And the presidency, I mean, that's still, I think, 2-1 Trump. I think it's Trump's to lose. Harris is not acting like a campaign that's leading, and they're not exactly doing anything to put them in front with the median voter. Things can change, but they're running out of time because ballots are going out in like 2 months. LinRx52 says, how does turnout look, or is it too early to tell? Well, turnout is going to be decent. I mean, you're talking about a low-profile primary, and you're seeing probably, assuming that these numbers are right, which New York Times is the New York Times, but you're talking about, 750,000 people turning out for this primary that was pretty much seen as a done deal. That's good news. On the Democrat side, you don't see as much turnout. There were less races, admittedly speaking, but I mean, it's still a decent showing overall. Can't complain, especially because a lot of this is early vote, and 2/3 of Republicans voted early. That's never been the case. So Germanius, as leader of Hamas, just died. We know. Tom Cook says, Willie Brown said Kamala's father is lying or is living in Jamaica, or is Irish and Indian, so she has almost no black heritage. Yeah, they got to get Willie, because Willie Brown, I don't think, likes Kamala. I could be wrong, but I think he was trashing her back when she was in the running. He's not a Republican, he's a Democrat, but is there some way to use him? He's very opportunistic. Could he get the dirt? Could he give October surprises? I think there's going to be a lot of October surprises if we do our part with the opposition research, because there's nothing that can doom Trump at this point. They've thrown everything at him. What could doom him? Honestly, if they do give him a jail sentence or whatever, he's probably still going to win. He probably would win at that point for sure, but I don't know. Because a majority of Americans oppose, even if they think that Trump is guilty, 60% say that a jail sentence is inappropriate. Joseph Vol says, is Barris accurate? His streams with Barnes are good. I saw yesterday's. It was actually very good. I recommend people watch it. And Barris gets a lot of trash from a lot of people, but you look at the guy's record. He was dead on in 2016. He was dead on in 2018. He was even dead on in 2020, except from maybe Minnesota. He was off. But he had in Michigan, he was a little bit off in Michigan. But again, shenanigans and all. But Pennsylvania, he even had Biden winning it by 1. Wisconsin, he had Biden winning, but he knew that it would underestimate Trump, and the poll did, because Wisconsin's hard to poll. But the other states like Florida, North Carolina, he was pretty much dead on in most states, plain and simple, especially the Rust Belt, though. He was more accurate than most polls in the mainstream. And then 2021, he nails the governorship in Virginia. 2022, he did not do so well in the primaries in some races. But again, it's very true that neither did a lot of the mainstream media polls. And he had only 2 or 3 polls for the midterm key races, and they were not as bad as some people make him out to be, aside from Pennsylvania. So Barris, I trust him, especially with Trump on the top of the ticket. I think he's a smart guy. He knows polls better than most people know polls, and that's that. But I don't know when we're going to get any more results. We'll go for another, 10, 15, 20. As long as the super chats keep coming in, there's no reason not to go. Reaper King 774 says, who do you think will win Montana? If you're talking about the Senate race, I think Sheehy wins fairly easily. I think Trump is going to win it by 18, 19. So, shouldn't be too much of an issue. Poseidon's Kraken says, what are your thoughts on PA and Harris v. Trump? The reason I ask is because I've heard it's vital to Harris. Also, big fan. Yeah, it's make or break for Kamala. If she loses the state of Pennsylvania, I cannot see a scenario she wins. because that means she's probably not doing well enough with black voter turnout to win Georgia on its own. And it also means that Donald Trump is probably winning at least Wisconsin. But even just giving him the 20 states, add Pennsylvania, that's what, 254. You give him Nevada and Wisconsin, he wins. You give him Nevada and Arizona, he wins. Or you just give him Georgia and he wins. So again, Pennsylvania is crucial for Trump. Let's see. The video maker 2341 says, since November is close, is it possible to do presidential, Senate, governor predictions per month or multiple once at the beginning? And yeah, we're going to do multiple presidential in August. We did it in July. Senate predictions, probably multiple when we get closer to the election, so September. I only probably need to do one governor prediction, or I'll just like factor it in the final prediction. I might just do a final prediction all in one, to be honest. I usually break them up, but I could just do a final prediction in full or whatever you guys want, because I don't know. Or I'll do like a down ballot prediction the day before for all the down ballot. We'll do House, we'll do Senate, we'll do governors, and then we'll do the presidency on the day before Election Day, or however it works is fine. But we'll have a lot more data than we have now. So Tristan says new Oregon polls Harris by 5. You see, this is the thing. Like, Michigan is not going to zoom left by 9, and then Oregon is going to zoom right by 11. Like, the polling is very volatile. It's kind of schizophrenic. Trump is going to lose Oregon by more than 10, probably. I think Harris will do better among, like, the far left in Portland than Biden. But William Alfano says, do you see the 11 plus 11 Bloomberg poll on RCP? What a joke. Yeah, exactly. Robert also mentions the Harris plus 5 in Oregon. Charlie Howard says, what are your thoughts on the North Carolina governors and AG race? The AG probably goes, or wait, no. I thought you meant the agricultural commissioner for a second. No, the, what's it called? The governor's race is a toss-up, I think. I think that maybe Stein is a slight favorite. Doesn't mean Robinson can't win. He's holding his own better than I think a lot of people would have thought. As for the attorney general, I think Republicans are going to pick it off. I think Dan Bishop's going to win that post. So Poseidon's Kraken says, how is she polling in Pennsylvania? Your opinion? If you're talking about how she's polling, it's not a matter of opinion. We have polls. But we have the Bloomberg poll, which is very schizophrenic, where Trump is up by 4. The Fox News poll is a tie at 49. The Hill has Trump up by 2. American Greatness has Trump up by 2. And then in the 5-way race, Susquehanna, which, again, is not a very, it has not been Trump-friendly all cycle. They've had Biden up by like 8 before. They have Trump now down just 4 to Harris. So she's polling not good enough, in my opinion, to win, especially because Pennsylvania is one of the more accurate Rust Belt states that these pollsters tend to poll, especially with Trump out there on the top of the ticket. So, yeah, I mean, Trump polling at 48, 49 in Pennsylvania, that's a really, really good thing for him, especially this far out. Because even if you look at the midterms, you look at how Oz was doing against Fetterman, he was losing by like 9 at this point. And eventually he closed the gap, and the polls overestimated him. But still, like, you have to look at the big picture. You have a lot of people that are dooming about polls, but they just don't understand why the polls were off in the midterms, or they're just engaging in like revisionist history. But yeah, Oregon is not in play. Don't worry about Oregon. It could be a bait poll. I don't expect Trump to go to Oregon. They called it for Lake. Yeah, I guess I called it for Lake a while ago. Lake probably loses one. She'll probably lose Pinal County, Graham County. I think she might lose as well. Chuck Birch, thank you for becoming a full member. Darth Chipmunk says your endorsements for Michigan's primaries August 6th. I support Rogers. Best shot to win the state. He'll be fine. We got to win that race. There's no better candidate in the race. There's 2 candidates that were in the race that voted to impeach Donald Trump, for the record. Can I refresh the percentages? I mean, they refresh automatically. It's been 2 minutes. So let's see. The video maker 2341 says, I think McCormick does better than expected. Oh, yeah, I agree. With Trump on the ticket, Republican Senate candidates outperform every time. You look at Wisconsin in 2016, Pennsylvania in 2016. We see it all over. We see it across the board. So it's not that surprising. It's not that surprising at all. Do I think Tom Barrett has a chance he lost by 5 in a Biden +1 district? Yeah. Honestly. Because Whitmer won by like 10 or 11. Trump is probably, even if he loses the state, he's not losing it by any more than like 2, 3. So, I mean, you do the math from the top of the ticket down. I feel like that seat, because I didn't he run for Slotkin's seat? She retired. They're going to put somebody else in there who's weaker. Yeah, he's probably going to win, I would say. So, either way, we're not getting any new votes. They updated it, but there's nothing that changed. So, either way, that's like 750,000 votes cast, 2/3 of it by mail or early. That's good. It's good that we're taking advantage of the early vote. That's partially why I'm more optimistic about November. Jeffrey Largent for 20 says, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. One of my most confident predictions is that Oregon will be decided by less than 10. In the best case scenario, I see it decided by less than 5. Hillary barely got over the 10% margin. Yeah, but I feel like, because people talk about Californians moving, and they're worried about liberals moving to Nevada and Texas, but a lot of the Californians moving to those places are more conservative. The liberal Californians, they go to Portland, they go to Seattle, they go to Denver, they go to Albuquerque. Some are in Phoenix and Austin, obviously. But I think it's deeper than that. I still think that Trump probably falls short in Oregon by like 12 or 13. Dustin Carner says, are Arizona and Nevada swapping spots with Nevada as red and Arizona is blue? Georgia is the new North Carolina. The last point depends on future, intra-migration trends. The Arizona Nevada thing, I think Nevada's moving right. I don't know if it means that Arizona's like lost. Demographic changes are real and they've impacted things. So yeah, more votes came in. I don't know from what, I don't know. But I know that Lamb went down by a hair. So let's see. Let's check the Masters. Yeah, Masters probably going to lose, honestly. Well, it depends. But I'd say Hamadeh's the favorite in that race. And Schweikert won. Lake won. She's up by a sizable amount before the election day vote. I would assume her lead grows. It's possible that it doesn't, but we'll see. Let's see. Colin Shaw Indie Game says, what do you think happens in Pennsylvania and Virginia when early voting starts in mid-September? They'll be ready with Kamala ballots, or will this cause issues? Well, I think that we need to act like when we're in this fight. These are questions that don't mean much. If so many people will say, well, how many ballots are they going to do? It's all demoralization. Look, we have to win. We have to fight. There are real people that vote by mail that are Democrats. They'll sign them up. We can't act like there's no Democrats in the world, because there are. Plain and simple. This is what I feel like some people get wrong. The world has changed. That being said, they will be ready with ballots. A lot of those ballots will be real ballots from real people because they're competent at getting people out. There will be probably some ballots of people that don't even know that they're the ballots of, or people that might have, passed away a month ago. Who knows? But we got to fight and we got to win, and we can win, and that's what matters. So the video maker 2341 says, polarization and Trump make the Senate race closer in Pennsylvania. Not a big fan of McCormick, but he's running a decent campaign this time around. I agree. And the most important thing about it all that kind of just goes unnoticed is that in regards to the McCormick stuff, his ads are attacking Kamala for the border. And they tie in Bob Casey, obviously. So not only does it tie Casey to Kamala, it attacks Kamala for Trump. It's a free Trump ad, and he's got a lot of money. So I'm glad he's doing that. I will say I'm glad he's actually doing that and not trashing Trump. He's got a very murky record. He'll be a mediocre senator, I'm sure, but all things considered, I don't have a problem with him winning. Dova Budgie 100 says, when do we know for sure that Kamala the Hun is the nominee? Also, I'm going to Trump's rally tomorrow. Can't wait to see his updated attacks. Probably like August 7th, I think they do like their virtual roll call. As for the Trump rally, that should be interesting. That should be a lot of fun for sure. Stay safe, by the way. Philip M says, what are Kari Lake's chances in November? She's not the favorite right now, but that could change. I don't think she's like going to get destroyed like some people think. The presidency, I still think Trump wins the state by, I don't know, 2 to 3 points. Lake might trail him by a few, but who knows? We'll see. American Nerd 76 says, might be a hot take, but Hamadeh shouldn't win. He's a grifting anchor baby. He thinks America was founded on Islamic values. Don't take my word for it. Check out the Elect Right video on him. Yeah, I know about all that stuff. I think that there is something to be said about the so-called grifting class, is that a lot of them, when they get into office, they're not as bad as we think. And obviously, I wanted Masters to win, but I don't think Hamadeh is going to be like the worst congressman ever if he wins the primary, which is why I thought the fight between them was kind of, I don't know, a little counterproductive. Like one should run in one district, one should run in another. Blake got in, without the Trump endorsement, that was going to be tough. He eventually got it. We'll see if it's enough to carry him with the election day ballots. But I don't know. Paul Barbarian says, how much are we discounting the silent Trump supporters, those who won't publicly admit that they want to vote for Trump because of perception? I don't know. I feel like it's more socially acceptable to support Trump, but that being said, I think that pollsters do underestimate Trump in certain places because he has that unique base that's hard to poll, like in Wisconsin or in the small towns in Michigan. It's not necessarily that, these people are quiet about their support. It's just more so that you have a lot of people that are hard to poll, and pollsters tend to miss them. It's possible they try to overcorrect in the midterms, but I don't know. The polls in the midterms were only off for like the last week or two. So Chuck Birch says, thank you for the program from the liberal California coast. Don't stop fighting. Go Trump. Mike Griffin says, why does Blake Masters keep losing? Well, he won his primary in 2022 for Senate. I think that if he had the Trump endorsement this time, he probably would have won. He got it. He kind of got the co-endorsement late, but it wasn't quite enough. And either way, I think we're going to get a decent above average congressman out of that district. So the video maker 2341 says, I think Hamadeh would be a decent congressman. Yeah, I tend to agree. Like, he did a lot of shady stuff and posted a lot of things on some message boards back in the day. But I mean, like, his district is safe. He's going to end up winning it in November anyways. And hopefully he'll be a decent congressman. Alcides Perez says, Philadelphia Republicans added 73,000 new. This is the thing, and I tell people this. Our registration numbers are through the roof. People on the left, if they really had this unlimited ability to shift the election and control every vote, then you wouldn't see this. We're gaining in Pennsylvania. We're gaining in North Carolina. We blew the doors off the Dems in Florida. Arizona and Nevada are both going our way. Even after Kamala Harris it was replaced Biden, you're not seeing like a big voter registration shift. Like, if you use party registration, which is not perfect, Republicans are virtually, there's no way they're going to lose Arizona because they've registered 100,000 more now than they have then. So is Trump just going to bottom out with Republican? It doesn't really seem like that's the case. He did just fine there in the primary compared to a lot of these other places. So Sam Madsen says, a garbage Harris plus 10 poll in Minnesota came out that had her only losing white working class voters by 4 points when even Biden lost them by over 10. Yeah, they're probably oversampling Duluth, oversampling like Minneapolis. It's possible. Like, we try to wait for things when we poll. Polls are not perfect. A lot of polls can never be perfect. Some are better than others, though. Jared says, why do you think John James didn't run for Senate again? Because, look, John James, I think he outran expectations in 2018. I don't really think him getting the nod in 2020 was bad at all. But again, if you lose 2 Senate seats, even if the second one, shenanigans and all, but usually you don't go for a third time. And he went for House. He did the right thing, downgraded the level of office. He won. He outran the top of the ticket by a lot at the congressional level. And then there you go. So let's see. I think that maybe in the future he might run for something. He's kind of he's mediocre on his voting record. He's not horrible for his district. Roman Wolf Gaming says the way the math works, he could lose Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan if he wins New Hampshire like Bush did when he went up against Gore. New Hampshire and Hawaii would be key. It's not going to happen, though. It'd be fun to think about Hawaii, but look, there's a clear path here. Alcides Perez says Republicans flip Bucks County too. Yeah, I saw that. That was huge. The Videomaker 2341 says most of the Hamadeh bad stuff was long ago as well. Yeah, I know. People change over time. I mean, he was young, very young, but I mean, Carrie Lake supported Obama in 2008. People lie and say she supported Hillary in 2016. That's false. That's fake. But it is true that people change, and I don't think her reasoning was bad. McCain sucked. The foreign wars, endless wars, that was a big issue. A lot of people cared about it. The economy was in the gutter. I can't blame people for voting for Obama in 2008 over McCain. Now, voting to reelect him, that's tough. Although I can't blame people for not wanting to vote for Romney. 2016, on the other hand, if you voted for Hillary, it's over for you. But I mean, even then people changed. Look at Vance. He didn't vote for Hillary, but he was a late adopter into Trumpism, and he didn't really have, it seemed at the time, any real ambitions for the 2022 Senate seat. So I think his transformation was genuine, also because it came with his transformation into faith as well. So let's see. Titanic Lovers 332, thank you for the $1. Every bit counts. Every bit counts. $1, $10, $100, $500, I think is the max. Every bit helps. Thank you, Titanic Lovers, for the super chat. Doing a great job with the channel lately. A lot of streams. We won't be able to stream until Sunday. I'll be out of town, at least out of this studio for a few days, but I will be back. Maybe I'll stream on Sunday. Who knows? Roman Wolf Gaming says, leader of Hamas is dead. Does that help Harris any? Let's see how it shakes out. I mean, technically, if an American operation did it, that would be something that you would expect to make the administration look good. But again, they're really gonna bottom out with the Palestine crowd if that's true. But I don't know. I don't know how much it helps, honestly, because ISIS was attacking Americans. Hamas, I mean, they still do have American hostages, it seems, but it's more of an Israeli thing. But yeah, I mean, if he's out and he was taken out by an American operation, yeah, I think you could probably say it would be a net positive for them. It just depends how the dust settles. I don't know. I don't think it's the number one issue for a lot of people. Did Trump taking out Baghdadi help him? I mean, maybe a little bit. But by election time, it was basically forgotten. Eric from Wisconsin says living on the Wisconsin-Minnesota border, Duluth is the worst. Oh, yeah. There's some voters you just can't win, even in places like you think you'd be able to, but you go there and it's like a far left area. American Nerd 1776 says, what's your take on all the J.D. Vance's weird BS the left and rhinos are pushing? Also, have you read Vance's book, Hillbilly Elegy? I've seen the movie. I've never read the book. Maybe I should, but I'll probably get it at some point. I assume I heard it was relatively similar, but the books are not always the same as the film adaptations. But as for the Vance's weird stuff, it's just nonsense. I mean, these are weird people. They think you can change your gender on a whim. They want men in women's sports. They support these pride parades and drag shows for children. They just believe and fantasize that Trump is this evil dictator who's gonna, I don't know, it's like their fantasy. It's weird. It's like they have like a fantasy fetish for this type of stuff. They keep having to lie. I mean, part of it is fear mongering, but maybe there is some like underlying thing there. These are weird people on the left, plain and simple. They're not normal. They want men to be feminine, women to be masculine. These are not people that are normal. But the second Vance says something that we need to say in some way, shape, or form, that our families are dying out and we're being led by people who don't even have families, like, yeah, honestly, we kind of have a problem if that's like seen as something controversial. I don't think it was viewed as poorly as the media will make it out to be. Some people will act like it's like an Access Hollywood tape or something, or a 47% moment for Romney. Or, it's not even like a basket of deplorables for Hillary. And people forget Vance is the VP. He's not at the top of the ticket, but Vance is, the more he's in public, the more people see him. His numbers, his unfavorables are going up, but his favorables are also going up. They have to lie about him with the whole couch nonsense. Like I said, Vance is fine. He could be an electoral asset to Trump even. And he's not the reason why the polls are looking the way they are now, which they still look good for Trump. And if Trump picked like a Rubio or a Youngkin or somebody like that, the base probably would find, some part of the base would be upset with the Rubio, especially the Rubio pick too. And again, you also have the whole media apparatus. They will just find ways to knock it down. I think Trump probably would have ended up, I don't know, getting maybe not even 1% out of the whole ordeal. It's Trump v. Harris now. It was Trump v. Biden, but it's now Trump v. Harris. He needs some milk, says Alan Lichtman. Can lickta ma nuts. Peace out, Eagle. Well, thank you. It's true. I mean, he's kind of a clown. He's a meme. He's the old man with the keychain that just fell apart. Because already it doesn't matter. Even if Harris wins, he was wrong. Because he said Biden would win. And you know what they had to do? They had to get Biden out of there to even think they have a shot to win. So no. Which again, if they're switching their opponent, why is there dooming? They're button mashing. It doesn't make sense. It's like they're a meme. We should just make fun of them. Stop dooming and start making fun of them. Period. Making fun of them builds up energy. That doesn't necessarily breed complacency. Jaquith Rhymes says, blacks for Trump, let's go Kerry. Riker, you are out, bruh. So true. He is out, it seems. Let's check the results. Maricopa hasn't moved, so we don't have anything new in. We passed the 2-hour mark. Zona Tape says, I'm an Arizona resident, didn't even know this happened. Well, make sure you vote in November. RC says, you're doing a good job. Well, thank you. Philip M says, you think Republican voter registration gains matter if there are more people registering as independents? Yeah, I mean, it still helps. I mean, the net differential. I mean, some states have independents like North Carolina that lean more to the right. Some states have independents like Arizona that tend to, I guess, lean a little bit more to the left. But it doesn't necessarily mean anything because Republicans are gaining on them too in many places. Some states are more strict with it. I think it just depends on the primaries and how they're set up. CCM28 says, Sam Brown just annihilated Nevada Dems on X. The video maker 2341 says, thoughts on Vance's wife. She seems like a nice person. I know she's probably a little bit more liberal, was more liberal, even though she did clerk for some conservative judges as well. But, it's a good family you got there. Pollen Botanicals says, counting down from down under. Thank you for what you do. Well, thank you for the 10 Australian dollars. Titanic Lovers 332 says, you think Blake Masters can win the primary? He can, but things would have to really shake out in his direction. There's so much we don't know. I don't even know if we're going to get to counting the ballots on stream because we don't have any new updates. It's still 66% of the vote. Arizona's counting at a snail's pace, which again, if it's election day and the results are in and we know our benchmark and we know how many early ballots there are and we know how many election day ballots there are, and this is basically what's done, and Trump is in a very favorable position, even if he's losing, which he probably will be losing the early vote dump anyways, that's a good sign. If Trump wins the early vote dump like this, it's like, boom, we're calling Arizona for Trump. I don't even care. Well, obviously, I think we have to wait for one network to call it, or that's like the rule. But Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Seeking findings for 10 says Judge Brown is trashing Kamala. It's brutal. He basically called her a W. Hilarious question. Should Trump debate Kamala or should he not? No, he should debate her. There's just too much subject matter about her. Everybody has an opinion on Trump. If Kamala says, Trump, you're bad, it's not going to change opinions. Kamala Harris, if her favorables are the way they are, you debate her at least once. I think you should debate her 3 times because there's just so much subject matter. He likes debating. It puts him in front of the public eye, and he's able to probably gain support in the process, I would believe, because there's so much about Kamala Harris. At least debate her once, probably at least twice, is my advice to Trump. Even debate on the liberal network, because if the liberal moderators are going to be biased, they're going to be biased anyways, and the people can see through it. If the media bias clouds these voters' judgment, they probably were already against Trump to begin with. They're already voting for Harris. I don't think that that's going to move the needle. 32% of Americans say they trust the mainstream media. That's a new low. Hitman Zarelli for 10 says, what do you think about Washington's 4th with Dan Newhouse, Tiffany Smiley, and Jared Sessler? I plan on voting for Tiffany. I'm leaning towards Jared being the... Yeah, vote for Jared. The fact that she's running is a mess, and she's just taking votes away. They're trying to get Newhouse in there again. Nick Schmidt says, did you see the RCP average for Michigan? Bloomberg has hair. Yeah, we covered that. It's a mess. It's impossible that their results are all correct. Agamanan Fireman says, the whole weird trend is dumb because nobody normal ever changed the world. My response wouldn't even be annoyance. It would be, yeah, and I am weird. Well, I mean, to be fair, I get what you're saying, but I do think that flipping the memes back on them are kind of just whatever. I think the meme in general is stupid. Like, oh, we're going to run on Trump being weird. It's like everybody has an opinion made up about Trump. You're going to call him weird for having positions he doesn't even have? Like, it's kind of questionable, honestly. So, I think that's it for Super Chat. Okay, we have more. American Nerd 1776 his thoughts on what's happening in Venezuela. Some say if there is a civil war there, America should intervene, but I don't think it's our problem. No, it's not our problem, and part of why it's happening is because Biden is just incompetent and weak, can't enforce the original Trump agreement that him and Marco made during his first term with a lot of these countries. I think it's a disgrace and a mess. I don't think we need to get involved whatsoever, period. Alcides Perez says Kamala called for gun confiscation today. Yeah, I mean, she's flip-flopped already. I mean, like, she's a flip-flopper. People are like, oh, she's going to win because she's going to the center. It's like, that never works. Didn't work for Republicans in the midterms. It didn't work for Mitt Romney. It didn't work for John Kerry. It didn't work for Al Gore. Didn't work for any of these people. Hillary Clinton, Biden, he kind of drifted left, but like his entire career, like if they attacked him for flip-flopping on that, he really wouldn't lose the center. Kamala's flip-flopping center, that's usually the problem. It's not like you're moving in a certain direction. But I mean, the fact is that the advertisements speak for themselves. Donald Trump didn't flip-flop on abortion, period. People like to pretend he did. He didn't. In 2000, he had an opinion as a private citizen where he was like, I don't like it, but I'm okay with it being legal, which, again, he eventually changed his position to the states. It should go to the states, and he's pro-life. So, whatever. Either way, is the most pro-life president of all time. It's not like he's changing his position now. Did he flip-flop on guns? I mean, he's always kind of been lukewarm on guns, which I'm not really the biggest fan of, but none of his gun control and action is still in action. He had the bump stock ban, that was it. Like, people want to take something he said out of context to make themselves feel better. It's like, okay, are you okay with the national, mandatory buyback that the ensuing administration would likely try to implement? Like, that's a horrendous thing. BB says national polls haven't budged. Everything is noise. Exactly. They budged like 1 point. That was it. Apex Caliber says, should Trump invade Mexico and get rid of the cartels? Yeah, honestly, my position on that is probably a little bit more interventionist than some people might have anticipated, because I'm not saying that we have to do it, but I feel like we could easily take out the cartels. And if there's a war that's like in our best interest, that would be like an America first war. If we can win it, it's going to help our people to take out the cartels and all these people pushing fentanyl. It's a winnable war. Probably helps Mexico too, but that's beside the point. It's like, yeah, honestly, I don't see a problem, but something would probably have to provoke it for that to happen. But if he did it, I would not be upset with it at all. I see an argument in that. I do, because it would be America first. You know, these wars for a lot of these other countries are not really in our best interest. You know, I think that you can have a strong international presence that can, you know, maybe, I don't know, de-escalate conflict like in the Middle East or with Russia and Ukraine. But I think that saying that we need troops on the ground for Ukraine because of this fear-mongering about, oh, maybe Putin will take a part of Poland or something, like, how is that exactly in our best interest overall when it's largely amounting to fear-mongering and just nonsensical World War II comparisons? A lot of stuff going on. I'm not pro-Russia. I'm not necessarily going to say that Ukraine is a perfect nation either. I don't think they deserve a cent from us. Europe, we give more per capita than Europe does, and they're right next door. They should be giving double, triple if it's such a big problem for them. Hitman Zarelli for 10 says, yeah, I figured I was leaning towards her because of the Senate. I don't like Newhouse. I blame him that we got a Biden presidency and those other Republicans, Jamie Herrera, Liz Cheney. Well, all those people, they impeached Trump, but they didn't cause Biden to become president, first of all, necessarily. But I agree with what you're saying. They needed to go. And Herrera, Butler is gone. Cheney, gone. Newhouse barely hung on. He should be gone. He probably won't be gone, to be fair. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Democrats in that district are going to vote for him because, oh, we're going to own Blumpf. M says, thoughts on purchasing Greenland? I mean, I see if we can get it for a good deal, why not? Like, I don't know why people are saying that that's such an unserious proposal from Trump. Greenland is a lot of oil in Greenland. It's owned by, what, Denmark? I mean, it's there. We probably could do something with it, strategically speaking, for military. I think that Greenland probably, if we can get it for a good price, why not buy Greenland? Obviously, there's a lot of debt we're in. We got a lot of things to do. Probably isn't top of the list, but why not? I don't see why people are we're mad at Trump for saying that. It's like the Space Force. This guy created the Space Force. It's just cool. Matthew says, what are your thoughts on the Oregon poll? Well, I don't even know who it's from. I've heard about it. And let's see. Okay, I haven't seen a lot of... Okay, so Hoffman, I don't even know who Hoffman Research is. But it's bizarre that the polls are not compatible. Because even though she could be losing... It's unlikely she's only up 5 in Oregon, but she's up by 11 in Michigan. But I think that this poll is probably inaccurate, and I think the Michigan poll is also inaccurate. Hitman Zarelli says, last super chat, thank you for reading, but I just think he did help them, but this was after the fact. We didn't know. Biden, I think, was already, I don't know when the impeachment vote was. I think it was after, or the impeachment vote in the House on Trump. The second time was, let me see when it was, because I know the Senate trial was after he left office. So... Okay, no, it was when he was in office. But yeah, Trump was already basically out the door at that point. He gave a, I wouldn't say concession speech, but he did give a speech about transferring power. And it was a really good speech, actually. You know, some people will critique it because he kind of, condemns, he kind of feeds into the left's narrative about 1-6. But I mean, there was so much we didn't know at the time that I don't even know if you can fault him for that. But he did say, like, we used every legal avenue possible to contest this garbage election, which is exactly what it was, and that's what he did. He used all of his power to contest it. So, The left is like, he will never leave office. It's like, he left office. If that was true, I mean, he had the power. He could have probably found a way to stay in power. Probably. You know, he was the most powerful man in the world, but he left office. So, you know, keep in mind, if there were not some potential feds egging on some stuff down there that day, he probably would have, he would have still left office, but he would have been forced to give basically that same speech. But I think a lot more people would have objected to the results. I think 1-6 was used as also a media narrative thing to discredit Trump and the possibility of a second term, and that's why he was impeached. Because why would you impeach somebody who you wouldn't think is going to run for office again? You know, Nixon was not even, I don't even think his Senate trial went through. They didn't impeach him after he resigned. But they impeached Trump because they knew Trump would be eligible for, I mean, Nixon, I think, was eligible. I think he still had, you know, you'd be president for 10 years. He was only president for 5. So he still had it, technically, if he wanted to run again, he could. But he wouldn't have won. Let's see. American Nerd 76 says it wouldn't matter how much Trump offers. Denmark would never let go of Greenland. It's just like how the UK won't let go of the Falklands. Well, I don't even know why they like the Falklands so much. I would have to do my research. But I feel like there has to be a way. There's always a price. There's always a price. People that own homes, you know, they say, I'd never sell my house. If somebody came in with the right amount in a briefcase, you'd do it. No questions about it. I mean, it's possible. You can't say it's impossible for it to happen. It's the art of the deal. You're telling me it's impossible for Donald Trump? It's the art of the deal. He wrote the book. He can get it done. So I don't know what else there is to do. I mean, we have 2,000 people in chat, but the election is pretty much just stagnant. So I guess it'll be the last call for super chats, and you guys want to look at the results. I guess they'll be going all night on the New York Times and Decision Desk and some of these other places. Let's see. Regular chat is going crazy in a good way. A lot of people. Again, make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you guys subscribe. It's insane what's going on with the channel. Someone said check District 3. I assume you mean on the Republican side. That's already won. But I don't think, yeah, this district is not going to flip. There's a primary on the Democrat side, though. Yasemin Ansari is winning it so far. But again, this is South Phoenix. It will move right, but it's already over. So yeah, officially, I mean, if it wasn't officially announced, the Red Eagle Politics Decision Desk can officially call the Arizona Republican primary for Kari Lake. Kari Lake will be the Republican nominee. This was not unexpected at all. She likely will expand her margin of victory depending on the outstanding vote. As for these other races, it's very likely that the recorder in Maricopa County is going to lose his election there. Still a lot of vote left, but we'll see. Hopefully the Republican can win in November. Hopefully Richard just steps down before the election. I don't think he will. But when it comes down to a lot of these other races, you got the state house, you got the state legislature, you've got Juan Ciscomani. That was expected. No surprise. Schweikert, I didn't know he'd win by the margin he won by. But, yeah, that's pretty much about it. So Blake Masters probably lost. Abe Hamadeh will probably win. I can't call it yet. But what can I say? Too many neocon boomers. Yeah, there's a lot of neocon boomers in Arizona. But there's a lot of very MAGA. It's a weird divided party. It's kind of, if you can find people that can get both wings on board, those candidates will probably be unstoppable come November. I'll say that. But again, it depends. The old neocon McCain voters, they are old. A lot of them are, passing away just with age. It's just the way it's going. And you are probably Arizona. There's a lot we don't know. I think this election in November is going to tell us a lot about where states are heading at the federal level. And even contrasting it with the midterms, it's going to tell us, what the strategy should be in certain states and certain years and stuff like that. But what can I say? But the Trump endorsees in that district combined for like 50-some% of the vote. If you look at it, 53, and that's like a divided field. You got a former congressman. Actually, there's a MAGA state senator there as well who's like at 4%. So either way, it is what it is. I think you're going to get an upgrade, actually, even with Hamadeh, because a lot of the ways that these primaries go is it's like, yeah, the other person's got a checkered past. They get there, and a lot of these like MAGA people that get called MAGA grifters actually vote pretty well in their voting record. Like, I was skeptical of Anna Paulina Luna because of some of her past comments like 5-10 years ago. But she's probably one of the best congresswomen or congressmen, women in general. So what can I say? But yeah, the old guard is dying out, and it'll probably help the Republican Party out if they just unite behind the new guard. I think that's what people need to understand. And if the sooner that happens, the better off they're going to be. But like, you have a ticket that's got new guard and new guard. Trump, who brought the new guard to a very new heightened level of prominence in the party. And then you have a running mate who's also a part of the new guard. So, it kind of is a testament to where the Republican Party's moving. And if they can do their part, it's not like there's a lot of old guard Republicans that are going to vote for Kamala Harris. Like Biden is one thing. Like, I can see why like some of these boomers can stomach Biden because he's also old and, the people are familiar with him. Kamala Harris is somebody that I think Arizona, she arguably is going to do weaker. Maybe not weaker than Biden after the debate, but weaker than Biden, 2 months ago. Because that's where we need to be looking at this. Because this Kamala Harris basically takes the cognitive decline out of the election. Or at least puts it back to where it was before. Even though I don't think she's very cognitively with it either. But she doesn't have an excuse. Videomaker2341 says, 2014 AZ GOP voter be like, Obama's a Kenyan socialist, Muslim danger to the country. But in 2024 says, Trump is a meanie. Wow. Yeah, honestly, I get it. I see it. Like, I understand that there's that meme. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that if you look at the election, like look at 2012 in Arizona, look at the turnout there. Let's just check this, because Romney got 1.23 million votes. Trump got 1.25 million votes. So the question is it just different turnout, changes in demography, or are people really bailing? I think in Arizona might be a little bit of a mix of both, honestly, because Clinton definitely added a lot, but Trump can very well win Arizona. I believe he will take it back. Jared says you should watch the video. What if everything went right for the USA? I'm curious to see your thoughts. It would be interesting if we had won the continent. I've never seen that video, but it's interesting. I think that, yeah, probably we take more of Mexico. We probably would have a lot of Canada as well, because we went into Canada a couple times, and the Canadians will never let you forget about it. But they did beat us on their turf in the War of 1812, which again, it's a war we really didn't even win. It's not like we really lost any territory, but we didn't win the War of 1812. And the what's it called, the Revolutionary War, I think we tried to go up there and didn't get anything. So it is what it is. It is what it is. So, all right, I think we're going to wrap things up. Let's hit 3,500 likes before we go. Let's hit 3,500. We're 100 away. And the video, if you haven't watched the recent video, I'd recommend watching it. It's doing extraordinarily well. It's at 120,000 views in just 4 hours. That's unheard of. That's unprecedented. Make sure you guys go watch that video when you get a chance if you haven't. A lot of you guys probably have. But anyways, we're almost to 3,500. We'll hit it. We'll hit it in a minute. But we have more votes, I think. Maricopa dropped a tiny little bit. A tiny little bit. We're 6 likes away. We're going to hit it. And nothing changed in the 8th district. So Lake won. It seems like Abe Hamadeh also is poised to win that contested race. And it seems like the recorder, who's a total rhino and horrible at his job and should lose because of how the elections are conducted, is going to lose. And even then, he's eating into some of the more like neocon vote of the electorate, the more establishment electorate, because he's so bad at his job, and it's showing. And people are upset. We want elections that are run properly. I just don't know if his, opponent is going to be viewed as like a, somebody who's like these, like they'll say election denier or whatever. But we'll see how it shakes out, because if the opponent is strong enough, he could win that position. He could win the post, and that would be huge in November. But if the Democrat wins, I don't expect anything to change, period. So, all right, we'll see what happens, guys. But we're gonna be wrapping things up. Like the stream before you go. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Make sure you follow me on social media. Follow me on Twitter. Get me to 70K on Twitter or X. Get me to 10K on Instagram. We're gonna try to get the numbers up on the platforms we use. And I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.